today's game. And now,
How the crowd's been
today's starting lineups.
this season. How's the crowd been this season?
Not bad actually.
Yeah. I mean, this is already pretty decent for. I mean, it's obviously senior day.
Starting
for how cool it is.
Exactly.
Corrections.
Homecoming was a really good
quarterback number
Homecoming,
22,
that game
Sam
was
Tumulty.
crazy.
Running back number 27, Keenan Haley.
grew up
And wide
14-0
receiver
and
number 82, Desian Jordan.
Right out of the
number
gate.
21, Daniel
Roosevelt
Ghost.
tied it.
Wide receiver
in the second
number
half.
4,
Roosevelt takes the
Keeman
lead.
Cochran. And number
Like
6, D1
5.5 to go in
Gavin.
the
And
fourth
right tackle number 58,
Maybe even a little less than
Ashton
that, to be honest.
Sorgi. Number
And,
66, right guard Logan Miller.
they missed
At
that.
center, number 59, Matt Knudsen. At left
Cooks
guard,
come
number
down.
72, Rylan
Stu
Persick.
hits Hickson
And
on
at
a
left
fucking
tackle, number
post route in the
73,
end
Peyton
zone. They
Boji,
score with
Dennis
like
Dorr, starting
a minute
offense
and
for
30
Fighting
seconds
Saints of
left
St.
on the clock.
Francis.
Get the extra point, they're up 1. Defense
And
holds
now
them,
the starting
and it was
defense for
200
your St. Xavier
as head coach.
Cougars.
So like,
That is awesome.
it was the
Defensive
coolest
end
ending of
number
this
30,
place.
Jamari
Going ape
Anderson.
shit. This
Defensive tackle number
I
99,
love
Peyton
that.
Campbell. And defensive tackle number 92, Jaleel Holloway.
Yeah, that was a cool game.
And
So the crowd for that
defensive
game
end,
was
number 96,
Yeah.
Van
That was a good
Williams
crowd.
Jr. And
Season
linebacker
opener was a good
number
crowd.
27,
The
Finn
first one
Brandon.
was solid.
Number 22, Joey
They've
Martin
been
Solik
good.
is your
Last week
middle
was
linebacker.
dead,
and
but
Sam
I mean,
linebacker
yeah,
number
the
4,
weather was
Peyton
horrible, so
Nigel.
Yeah, the
that
weather
makes
And
sense.
quarterback number 26,
There were some
David
people because
Denny.
like the rain
And
stopped.
strong safety, number
like,
3, Ron Carroll. And number
just after
17,
kickoff. Like it was a
free
drizzle at
safety,
kickoff. and
Tyler
then
Barnett.
stopped,
And
which was
last but
really
not
good.
least, at quarterback
So
number
it wasn't
29,
too
Kevin
bad, and it wasn't
Countryman.
like
That is
just
your
cold. It was
starting
cold, but
defense
not
for
like
the St. Xavier
not
Cougars.
oh my god cold. Yeah, it wasn't this cold.
Yeah.
It wasn't like the 50s.
Yeah, that's not
It
horrible.
was like low 50s.
Not great, not horrible.
Yeah, it was okay. It was manageable. The wind made it worse.
Yeah, as it
So,
always does.
so last week's crowd was meh, but you hit live.
Yes. Yep.
I'm just gonna turn our volume down so they don't hear us talking.
I saw they're gonna do that nice. They're gonna honor that police officer after
Yeah.
the first quarter.
That's him out there right now in the wheelchair.
Oh, okay, I see him. Good old drone sounds.
Yeah, it's cool. They do like in practice now. They do like drone cam, so it's like the best all 22 you can find.
Oh, yeah, that's so awesome.
Because it's perfect. Because you can watch from behind the line like the tight, but you can also watch the receivers.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's perfectly like zoomed out.
Right.
Yeah,
I wish we
like,
could take that live.
Yano's like, this is literally the best film ever.
Oh,
He
it
goes-
has to be, yeah.
He's like, this is the only way I watch film. He's like, if it's not drone footage, I don't want it.
Right.
He's like, I don't need it.
Yeah. Right, because it's all 22, but it's not like way back in the rafters. It's like
All right,
right there.
fans.
Speaking of drone,
Before we
did you
announce
see
our
the
senior
University
St.
of
Xavier
Florida
University
video
President
that they put
Dr.
out?
Lori Joyner is
I
on
think
field
it
to
was just
present
quick. They
head
had where they
coach
do
Mike
like the
Feminist
coming out
with
of
the
the tunnel.
gold-plated
They had a
whistle in
drone
honor
fly
of
into the
his
tunnel,
200th
perfect
career
position
victory.
right behind a couple of
They
players, and
right
like
here,
come out with them. It was
that's
really
pretty
cool.
sick.
It was
That's
really,
awesome.
really cool.
21-20 win over Roosevelt University on homecoming. Coach Feminist is just the third active head coach in the NAIA with 200 or more wins and is the 11th all-time head coach with 205 career victories. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for head coach Mike Feminist.
Yeah, fun. Go team. What a legend.
Great job, Coach. Congratulations. Now, Cougar football fans, please direct your attention to the south end zone as we recognize our senior football players who will be playing in the final regular season game as a St. Xavier Cougar. This class of Cougars has enjoyed tremendous success, and they've carried on a great tradition of SXU football. Since 2018, the Cougars have an overall record 39-15, have won 3 MSFA Midwest League championships, and have qualified for the NAIA playoffs 3 times. If the Cougars win today, they will clinch the program's 12th MSFA championship and 15th NAIA playoff appearance. Now, let's introduce our 2022 senior Cougars.
So Cougars? Son of a Cougars. Senior Cougars. And now
From
you're
Providence
Freddie
Catholic
Krueger.
High School, number 2, Stephen Meyer. escorted by his parents, Bill and Cheryl Meyer.
Stud.
Oh yeah.
Or was a
What
stud.
happened? What happened?
Oh, he's a GA.
Oh, okay. I thought it was always.
I think he was last year.
Next up from Lincoln Way Central High School, number 4, Peyton Nigro.
I guess I'll remember all these guys from my year. So I was only 2019.
Peyton
Nigro.
is escorted
Yeah.
by his parents, Pete and Katie Nigro.
They're losing some good players.
Yeah.
Nigro's a stud. Marcusovic's a freak.
Next up for your Cougar seniors
Marcus
from
Sovic to
Plainfield
walk through
East
these
High School, number
this
6,
program.
Justin
What a
Pringle.
football family they got.
Them and the lads, dude. The lads are the same way.
Justin
Lads
is
had 3
escorted
played
by
here
his
too.
parents,
I played with all
Jamie
3
and Tara
lads.
Pringle.
Really?
Yeah. I played with Timmy my freshman year because he was a senior. Danny and I played together every year.
Next
Danny
up
was a
for
year
your
older, but he was a
seniors
redshirt.
from Maine South High
And
School,
then
number 9,
Jack was a
Jonathan
year younger than
Sullivan.
me, so I played with Jack.
Oh wow.
for
So
3
you,
years.
so you did play with all of them.
And then Timmy was our coach. He was our O-line coach. For
John is escorted by his parents,
my
Eamon
last 3 years.
and
there.
Elizabeth
That's
O'Sullivan.
So, yeah, ladder. The lads and the Marcusovics. And I played with 2 of the Marcusovics. I didn't play with Joe. But I played with Mikey and I played
Next
with
up for your Cougar seniors from Providence Catholic High School, number 22, Joey Markusovic.
No Tyler Barnett.
Joey is escorted by his parents, Frank, Kim Markusovic.
Whoops. How do you fuck that up? Whoopsie.
Next up from Cremoni High School, number 23, Amari Venerable.
Rebels graduated?
Amari is escorted by
think he
his mother, Latasha Spence, his father, Paul Venerable, and grandmother, Tina Clark.
Already got her Bears coat on. That's right. Love it. Love to see it.
Next up from Ron Cali Catholic High School out of Indiana, number 26, Jacob Denny. Jacob is escorted by parents Todd and Jill Denny. Next up for the Cougars, from Dixon High School, number 27, Finn Brandon. Finn is escorted by parents Kyle Brandon and Amy Cullen.
Chris, I'm like, no Barnett. Because when he says something,
Yeah, because he's just
the poor
standing
kid's just
there.
standing there.
His
Just
family.
awkwardly, like, he's like kicking
Next
his
up for
heels.
the
Right,
Cougars,
like,
from Hillcrest High School, number 30, Jabari Anderson. Jabari is escorted by his sister and her very cool-looking placard and banner, Maya Bart. Congrats. Next up for the Cougars, from Genoa Kingston High School, number 55, Jeremy Whitmire. Jeremy is escorted by parents Joel
Chris said
and
Barnett
Wendy
wasn't on the
Whitmire.
list. Well, because Fenn has to give him a list of who's walking.
Oh, ouch.
I don't know if
He must have just
communicated or what.
probably just.
Next up, for the
Mississippi mistake.
Cougars from Underline High School, number 74, Mitch Scherher. Mitch is escorted by his mother, Amy Scherher. Next up for the Cougars from Meridian High School, number 80, Mario Young. Mario is escorted by his mother, Abigail Atkinson, and stepfather, Stuart Atkinson.
I had to do this for the volleyball, their senior day. They did a family day, though, for every player on the team their parents got announced. It's terrifying.
Next up
Oh,
for the Cougars,
it's horrible.
from Antler High School,
Yeah.
number 83,
Names are hard.
Nick
Yeah.
Sacco.
And it's like, and you're gonna be like that asshole.
Yeah, you're the
Messes
asshole that fucked it up.
Yeah.
Exactly. I like,
Nick is escorted by his mother,
I'd be like,
Athanasia
there was a couple
Sackles.
of people I like ran over to before they started, like the managers. And one had like a very Polish last name. I was like,
Help.
talk to me.
Please
I was like, once you tell me.
Next up for the Cougars, from Creek Moni High School, number 99,
support for it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's gonna be a cool video with the drone.
Oh yeah. Alright, the gloves are going on. I don't need my phone anymore for today. I'm not gonna be looking anything up. I'll leave that to you.
Yeah, right. You know how I do. I'll be over here.
Yeah. Flipping through the roster. I don't know who this kid is.
Yeah,
I don't know who this kid is. He's not on the duty. He's not on the duty. That's always the worst.
Oh yeah. In
That's-
fact,
that's
you
almost
just
why I
reminded me. Let me get the full rosters ready to go.
It's almost why I hate games when they blow teams out, because then all the kids
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
know by heart
Mhm.
play.
It's like, uh-oh.
I don't actually meet the roster. And then it sucks because you're like number, and then you're like, okay, where on the roster is he?
Yep.
Is he on page 3? Is he on page 1?
That used to kill me in college because
All
I
right,
would.
ladies and gentlemen, please stand. Gentlemen, kindly remove your hats.
I'm
Face
sorry.
the south end zone for the
I
sake
think I'm taking my
of
hat
our
today. I'm
national
sorry.
anthem.
When do you want to go live? Since there's apparently still 7 minutes.
I know. But when do you usually do it?
Well, when I'm by myself, I usually do it like 90 seconds out.
We can do like 2.5, yeah, something like that. Two's fine. We're right ahead. Sure.
You're all set. Alright. Well, I can stand back too, and you can use the whole table as you need to.
Oh, yeah. I'm good with this little corner right here. As much as you need. I'm gonna get my stats ready. Sorry, I don't want your stuff to blow off.
You're good. You are A-okay, my friend. I'm just getting the script ready. I'm gonna get this open.
Right, you're right. They're out of Joliet, right? They're out of Joliet, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So are we like rivals? This is our rival school for football?
How do I put this? We're their rival school.
Okay.
It's a very one-sided rivalry.
Okay.
Quite
Like he
one-sided.
put in the script, in the last 15 games between these two teams, the Fighting Saints are 0-15.
I think the overall is like
It's like
25 and 1.
I think it's 25.
Like something crazy like
they
that.
beat the Cougs once, and it was back in like 2007. It's been a long time. I mean, they're always competitive games.
Yeah, it's the games.
But this is their Super Bowl
Okay.
every year, and it's usually toward the end of the season too. Almost always. Let me take these off. It's their Super Bowl. They get very, very up for this game. Cougs do too, to an extent. For the Cougs today, it's important because the winner wins the conference and they get the auto bid for the playoffs.
Okay. All right, that makes sense.
So that's why today's game is a big one.
And are these with like the little pass run in there?
Yeah. They got to go on their little tour. They get to see the new weight room, which is like really nice compared to when I played here. I'm jealous. You guys get all the nice shit once I leave. You should have seen the old weight room. It was gross.
In the
gross.
Ursa?
Yeah, it was terrible.
They talk about it all the
Ladies and
time.
gentlemen,
It was so
if you
bad.
could please direct your attention to midfield as will be performing the ceremonial coin toss for today's game. Officer Goldman is being escorted to midfield by CPD Parker and St. Xavier SXU football alum Dave Marciano. Officer Goldman, your courage and determination is truly an inspiration for all of us. We want to welcome you to the St. Xavier University. Fans, let's give a well-deserved welcome to Officer Goldman and his family. Welcome here to Blue Stars Field. Thank you, Officer Goldman.
Yeah, Fem sent the email out initially about this, and the reason everybody knew is because Mars played here.
Right. That's awesome. That's really, really cool they're doing this.
Yeah, Mars gave me my welcome to, or one of my welcome to college football moments. Camp my freshman year. Remember, I had to go up to the linebacker, and he absolutely ran me over. Dude was a monster. He was only like 5'9", but he was a monster.
Yeah.
And then Zach Golf did that to me too. Just absolutely flattened me on a pass block, and I was just like,
It's like, yep, I'm here now.
it's like, cool. This is what it's like to
And
play
I've
against
arrived.
grown men.
Exactly.
I get it now. I feel so at home.
Life comes at you quick.
St. Francis has won the toss with
so
a
at
further
home.
decision in the second half.
Cougs ball first.
Always defer.
You want to go 2:30?
Yeah.
Xavier will receive at this end.
Get the live stats going. All right, from Deaton Memorial Field on a chilly November Saturday, welcome to Cougar football in a game that has been circled on the schedule since the beginning of the year. Two teams atop the MSFA Midwest and looking to get that automatic bid into the postseason. The 8-2 Cougars and the 7-2 St. Francis Saints, with both teams deadlocked at 6-0. Atop the conference standings. What a fun one we're in store for today. Good afternoon to all of you. Alongside the former Cougar Ron Luce, I'm Redrick Terry. So glad to be back with you all here for Cougar football. You know, they say there are no two greater words in sports than Game 7. And while that may be true, I got four more for you. Win and you're in. And that is the case today. Whoever wins this game wins the MSFA Midwest, gets that auto bid to the postseason. Ron, how do the Cougars get that done?
Well, for starters, Redrick, this is a tale of two different offenses. The Cougs love to throw the football. They supplement the screen game as a part of the run game, and then they pound the rock. As for the Saints, it's run some more, and they sprinkle just a little bit of pass in there as well. For the Cougs, it's about stopping the run and taking care of the football. This Saints defense has 17 interceptions on the season, so they're very good at taking away the football.
Absolutely. You mentioned St. Francis. They are having a great year, 7-2, 6-0 in conference. They've won their last 7. You might guess some of the talk surrounding the game involves the history between these two schools. Going back to 2009, St. Francis has never beaten St. Xavier, 0-15 against the Cougs in that time. So this is really a potential history-making game for St. Francis if they're able to do it. How do they do it today?
Truthfully, Redrick, it's just play. Every year, because of the rivalry, because of the connection to the USF through the SXU coaching staff and so much more, this is USF Super Bowl every single year. And sometimes playing up a game to be too big is just as dangerous as overlooking an opponent. Just trust the plan that has worked for these Saints for the last 7 games where they've picked up victories.
You know, this might feel like deja vu because these two teams played for the conference last year as well. Here we go once again. These are some really close games between these two schools, and this one for the postseason. St. Francis won the toss. They chose to defer. The Cougars will get the ball first, and returning on the kick is Kyle Quinn, who heads to the far sideline and gets his way up across the 30-yard line before being forced out of bounds. He will be spotted right at around the 32-yard line. So here comes the Cougars offense, and the big fella Stuart Ross leading the charge. He's thrown 15 touchdowns, 10 picks, but 206 yards a game. That's near the top of the conference rankings.
Yeah, Stu's had an interesting year for the Cougars because there's some games where he's on and you can tell he's got good chemistry with his receivers, and then some games it just feels like there's something missing. For the Cougars to be victorious today, Redrick, he's going to need a big game.
Yeah, you mentioned this is a ball-hawking defense for the St. Francis Saints. So something to watch out for certainly today. It starts at the 32-yard line. They will hand off outside. Quinn, who just returned the kick, gets the first carry of the game and falls forward to about the 36-yard line. A gain on the play that time of about 3. So Quinn, the Tinley Park native, has got 3 touchdowns through the air, gets the carry here on first down. And it will be a 2nd down and 7. Just getting started here in Chicago. A great day, senior day, although it is a little bit on the chilly side, right? No, not anything that's too difficult to deal with, but 37 degrees here on this November Saturday. That snap was fumbled and then picked back up by Ross, who then tries to work upfield, and he gets up to the 38-yard line, a gain of 3 on a play that could have ended a lot worse for the Cougars.
Absolutely. Sometimes improvising works out in your favor, and for Ross there, that's just go, go, go. There's no thinking involved in that moment when you're just like, oh, well, ball's on the ground now. It's a good job by Ross. And, again, positive gain. So, like you said, could have gone completely wrong, and it doesn't. It actually ends up in a positive game for the Cougs. 3rd and manageable now for this offense that has shown they can pick these up throughout the season.
Yeah, it is 3rd down and 4. Ross with Venerable back behind him. They fake it to him, and Ross rolls to the far side. Throws outside, pass is complete. That is a catch and a first down. Brant Hickson makes the reception, and Hickson has a first down up to the 44 as the Cougars move the chains.
Again, effective play calling on 3rd and short there. You love a 3rd and manageable. There's plenty of plays on the script sheet for 3rd and manageable. You want to avoid getting into that 3rd and 8+ territory because that's when things shrink down. Good play call, Cougs, and a fresh set of downs for this SXU offense.
Yeah, the Cougars on 3rd downs hasn't been great this season, 27%. That's 7th out of 8 MSFA Midwest teams. So staying in that 3rd and manageable, a critical part of this ball game. Up to the 44-yard line with a first down. Ross getting direction from the sideline. Venerable in the backfield. Haven't seen much of him this season, but we're going to get a timeout here as the Cougars want to talk it over.
Xavier, they're first of the half.
Yeah, that got dangerous, Redrick. They allowed that play clock to run dangerously low, and then a little bit of confusion. You got receivers running to the other side of the formation. So smart decision by the Cougars. Don't take a 5-yard penalty right now. Just talk things over, burn a timeout, and keep it moving.
You know, we talked about the weight that this game has to it. I mean, and Ron, you played in some meaningful games in your time with the Cougars as well. Take us in the minds of the guys right now. What are they thinking? What are they feeling as this game is just getting underway?
Well, for the Cougs and really for the Saints today too, because of what's on the line, it's just win. It's just do your job. Play by play, take one play at a time, and it sounds cliche and it sounds simple, but it really is the case. If you try to overthink things, if you try to, sports are weird. It's really hard to manifest an outcome, right? You can't just speak it into existence. You can't just think it into existence. You got to do it. It's as simple as that. So these guys on both sidelines today, that's the motto. It's do your job, one play at a time. Keep, be smart. Don't do anything terribly stupid to hurt your ball club, and ideally you'll reign victorious at the end of the day.
Ross, another fumble. He picks it up and then is decked in the backfield. Another fumble on the play, and it was Michael Whitney, the middle linebacker, to come in there and clean that play up. It's a big loss for the Cougars.
Yeah, and a really lucky break for the Saints, too. It was really easy to see from our vantage point. We're almost in line with where the original line of scrimmage was. Their defensive end on the far side's helmet was on the other side of the football. How there was not a call, I'm absolutely flabbergasted. But, sometimes you need those lucky breaks, and the Saints got one there. Instead, it's a play in their favor.
Whenever they're screaming, he's lined up offsides in the crowd about 5 to 10 seconds before the play. Something's up. Ross rolls out, buys time, fires back toward the middle, tipped and picked. Intercepted on the play by Angel Mata, the senior. On the play that went back toward the middle, he was going for Quinn, and it ends up being a turnover on the first possession of the game for the Cougars.
There's a rule of thumb, Redrick, as a quarterback, and it's rarely should you throw across your body, especially when you're rolling out. It wasn't a bad play, truthfully. It wasn't a bad throw either. It was in Quinn's hands, but that's the danger of it, right? You get a tip like that, you're toward the middle of the field, and we highlighted it literally in the opener. This is a ball-hawking defense that the Saints have here, especially in the passing game, and it pays off for them there. That's a huge turnover on the opening drive.
That is, for St. Francis, their 18th interception as a defensive unit this season. Unbelievable. First down, and here come the Saints on their opening drive after the turnover, and they're already into Cougars territory with a handoff up the middle. And it was Daniel McLaurin, the sophomore, as he was brought down by the big fellow Marcus Sovic at the 44-yard line.
Yeah, and Redrick, we talked about this offense. It's run, and run some more. Their quarterback already this season, 746 rushing yards coming into today.
Wow. And
that doesn't even include their couple of tailbacks that they get involved as well. So expect to see a lot of pounding the rock from this USF offense.
Tumulty, the sophomore, and there he goes off the far side, picks up the first down and gets out of bounds inside the 35. He will be marked out at the 33-yard line. That's a pickup of 11. And, Ron, from the defensive side of things, what changes when you have a quarterback? I mean, you mentioned he runs 82.9 yards a game as a quarterback. How does that change your defensive strategy?
You almost have to treat it as the old option, right? When we would run and get practice ready for a team that ran the old traditional triple option, it's assignment football. It's not follow the ball. It's assignment football. The problem is, though, they don't run traditional option. Like in that instance, it's empty backfield, and he's taking off for 10 yards on the far sideline.
There he goes again, this time on the near side with a block in front. And pushed out of bounds. Looked like Marcus Sovic got him again, but it's right around the 20-yard line, and that's going to be another first down, a gain on the play of 11. And back-to-back 11-yard gains for the quarterback Tumulty.
And that's just such a dangerous element to the playbook. I mean, I think everybody that's watching this game is, for the most part, in the Chicagoland area. And we see a guy wearing number 1 for the beloved Chicago Bears that has that element to the game. And you see exactly how dangerous that is, even at the highest level of football. Now you add a guy who, truthfully, Tumulty looks like a running back. That's not a shot at him as a quarterback. It's just how he's built. He looks like a running. He wears a running back's number 22, and that's dangerous when you have a guy that can just take off and run like that.
5'10", 185, and you saw the 2 runs on the outside. Now he's going to throw it. He's got a man open, and he's got a touchdown. Catch made for the score, and what a start for the St. Francis Saints. They strike first at Deaton Field.
Danger, danger, danger is the motto with Tumulty at quarterback because he can do it all. Beautiful pass as well out into the flat for his guy. That's just textbook right there from the Saints. Again, you got the Cougars biting on the run now because of how dangerous Tumulty is with the football in his hands. Drops back, delivers a dime. Beautiful touchdown play for the Saints. And again, that interception looking really good right now for the away side. That's a heck of a start for this game.
James Williams, the freshman running back, makes the reception on the near side. Touchdown reception. Extra point is on the way, and what a start for St. Francis. They've got a 7-0 lead 5 minutes into the ball game. And a game that is extremely important for them. We highlighted it just for a little bit. I mean, the last 15 games between these two schools have gone the Cougars' way, so they want to get a win just off that accord. Then you count into effect the weight in terms of the postseason that this game carries. This is a game that St. Francis really wants.
Absolutely, and this is a natural rivalry in a lot of ways, and we noted at the top of the broadcast, maybe a lot of people don't realize this, but 2 of the longest-standing coaches on the SXU staff, that being head coach Mike Femness and offense coordinator Mark Yannel, both played and coached at University of St. Francis back in their day. So well before SXU ever even had a program, the roots were already planted for this rivalry because of the personnel involved and because of the geography. Joliet, just a hop, skip, and a jump south from here. this is an absolutely monstrous game for them. And again, that's the momentum that you want to carry into really the rest of the game. But that's how you set the tone right out the gate if you're USF. Turnover and then points off the turnover as well.
Yeah, you hear that phrase uttered so much, set the tone. Well, that's exactly what we just saw St. Francis do. 5 minutes, 2 seconds in, they're on top. Running start for Quinn. Just past the 10, got a couple blocks in front again, heads toward the far sideline and knocked down just shy of the 35-yard line. So Cougars will come back out on offense, and you'd have to imagine Stuart Ross got a little bit of a talking to after that last drive ended with a pick that came from a throw across the body.
Yeah, and again, we mentioned it in the opening. It's like we know something what we're doing up here, Redrick. But again, we said protect the football. You really have to protect the football today. It's cold. The elements are going to play a factor. This is probably the coldest weather we've had so far for the season in the Chicagoland area. So both of these teams are going to feel it today.
Wildcat snap. A flag is down as Venerable had to pick it back up and works his way out across the 35. So we've seen 3 now snaps that are mishandled. That actually might have something to do with the weather as well, as you just bring that up.
Yeah, it's really hard when you can't feel the football as a center to snap the ball. As somebody who's played center in their day, I can promise you it's not fun when you don't know where the football is coming out.
23 and 18 moved at the same time and didn't reset. Offense. It's a 5-yard penalty remains. First down.
So you get the illegal procedure penalty on the Cougars for 2 people moving at the same time.
You got to respect the, trying to switch it up, trying to give this defense a different look because they've been keying in on everything the Cougs have done so far. But in that instance, again, that's just a mental mistake on your own side that is going to hurt you. And that's 5 yards you didn't need to give up if you're the Cougars.
Ross will take the handoff to Venerable up the middle. And Amari Venerable working his way back toward that original line of scrimmage. He ends up picking up a gain of 4. Up to the 33-yard line.
Venerable, a guy this Cougars offense has to be happy to have back as well. So many injuries to the running back position at the start of the year. So much so that they converted a freshman wide receiver to running back in Mario Price, who has done an admirable job filling in as the top tailback all season long. But having your 1,000-yard rusher from a year ago back in the backfield has to give head coach or OC Marchiano and company a lot of faith.
Second down and 11. Fake it to him, now throwing outside, and the pass is caught by Hickson, who has his second catch, and it goes right back to the original line of scrimmage. Call it a gain of 1, and that will set up a 3rd down and 10 for St. Xavier.
Yeah, and you can see this USF defense and how they flow with the football, and their pursuit is fantastic. Really, they're doing an excellent job, and that might actually benefit them today because this is how the Cougars offense has operated all season. It's a lot of short passes. It's get it to your playmakers and let them do dangerous acts with the football after the catch. It's really hard to do that when you've got 6 or 7 guys in your face on any given side of the field.
3rd and 10. Last 3rd down play for the Cougars ended in a turnover. Ross will throw for it. Got a clean pocket. Time running out. Still buying time, still on his feet, then finally dragged down back at the 30-yard line. Boy, he's extended that play out for about as long as he could. Then Pat Stroka, the freshman, is in there for the sack, his 5th of the season, and the Cougars will have to punt.
Yeah, and that's an instance, too, where if you're Stu, at least he didn't throw to try to force something, but you got to let your mental clock know either you got to take off and run or you just got to throw it away. It's one of the two. You can't sit around and do that because, yeah, that ended in just a sack. You have a chance to punt it away, but what happens if it's a strip sack? That's another turnover in your own side of the field that gives USF great field position.
So Shavers will punt it away for the Cougars. Line drive, and this is Scott Tumulty, and Tumulty is wrapped up and dropped. So that's where the Saints will start. So they've got an opportunity here. It's 7:06 to go here in the first quarter of a 7-0 game. They've got an opportunity to do something that they have not done very much at all in the history of this series between these two teams, and that's opened up a 2-score lead.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you look at the history between these two programs, there's a lot of games that end in one-possession games.
Yeah.
So it's really easy and cliche to say every point counts. Of course it does. But in a game, in a rivalry that has historically shown it usually comes down to one possession, that 2-possession lead is like a unicorn.
Tumulty and crew back out. Starting at their own 45, and he'll go to the air. Had a touchdown throw on the last drive. This pass to the sideline is incomplete and over the head of Dezion Jordan, the sophomore intended receiver.
Good throw from Tumulty as well, and what it's kind of hard to see on the broadcast at home, but we can notice here. He threw that to the sideline. That is exactly how you throw that go route, especially when you have inside help from the safety like that. Carroll was in the perfect position. That ball's underthrown. It's picked off. Good throw. That way you overthrow him. It's out of bounds, incomplete. You live to see another day. Otherwise, it's a big catch on the sideline for your big receiver.
2nd down and 10 from the 40. Tumulty cuts back inside and bought some extra yardage up to the 44-yard line. You could just see how quick he is on his feet. It is really something to see from the quarterback position.
Yeah, and just in general as an athlete, right? You see guys that have great speed, but not everybody has great quick twitch muscles like that to change direction and scamper the way he does. It really does make him such a dangerous weapon. I mean, coming into today's game, over 1,000 yards through the air, almost 750 yards on the ground.
Incredible.
He's a Swiss Army knife at quarterback.
15 rushing touchdowns to go with his 9 passing touchdowns. Having a great year. Now he'll go back to the air on 3rd. He'll go deep again, down the middle, and incomplete, almost picked off. Stepping in front was Kevin Countryman, and the Cougars will force a punt.
Excellent textbook coverage from number 29, Kevin Countryman, right there. Leads this team with 5 interceptions on the year. He's got 2 pick sixes as well. A very dangerous defender at the cornerback spot. That was, legitimately textbook coverage. Hand on the receiver to know where he is, not interfering with his ability to make the play. Could have had him pick out there, almost did. Good job by the receiver to knock it out of his hands, but excellent coverage from Kevin Countryman.
Here is a short punt. Cougars will let it bounce. It gets a nice friendly St. Francis roll all the way inside the 15. So St. Xavier will start at its own 14-yard line, but what a stop, what a critical stop that was early on for this St. Xavier defense.
Yeah, and this SXU defense all season, Redrick, has really been the backbone of this team. They have time and time again, sometimes they've been the best offense even. Tons of, takeaways and a couple of touchdowns, and this defense has really done a great job all season long, and I think that's why that first touchdown from USF is even more important, because this Cougars defense doesn't give you a lot of room to operate.
Ross on the fake. Sideline. Incomplete. Dangerous as he was heading out there for Kyle Quinn. And there were a few Saints in the area, including the strong safety Jalen Cooper.
Dangerous indeed was that throw, because, again, you're throwing to the far side of the field, too. So if you're throwing and you're kind of almost throwing it away in that instance, you really have to give it a whirl. Got to keep the wind in mind, too, here, because I don't know if everybody at home can hear it through our microphones. But it's starting to whip a little more, and I'm even starting to feel a little bit of precipitation that isn't rain, unfortunately.
Yeah, we have a little bit of the white stuff falling here at Deaton Memorial. Venerable up the middle on the carry, and he'll get up to the 18-yard line for a gain of 4. Sets up another 3rd and medium here for St. Xavier.
I almost don't even want to say the word.
I
don't think I'm mentally ready for that version of precipitation just yet. It is November. I understand that, but we'll just call it precipitation for the time.
We've been so spoiled recently. Even you mentioned it last week. It was raining, which obviously isn't great, but you still had the 50s. Things certainly changed in this week between those two games. Here's 3rd down and 6. Here comes a deep pass down the far sideline, and a flag is down as the catch was made by Mason Gray.
What a play by Mason Gray. It's got to be DPI. I don't understand how it's any other penalty. But as he's falling to the ground, makes the catch on the sideline. Great play by the big receiver, number 5, Mason Gray.
Defense. That penalty's declined. First down.
So Mason Gray, the senior out of Chicago Heights, with a big reception up to the 49-yard line and a big play for the Cougars offense.
And the Cougars are going to need more of that. We talked about the simplicity of the Cougars offense, a lot of swing passes, a lot of screens, a lot of running the football. They need to attack downfield. You got to be careful, granted, against this ball-hawking secondary, but you got to take shots down the field.
Here comes the sweep play outside and a nice play by St. Francis up the middle as Gray was on the carry, and it'll be second down.
We need like an audio connection to the officials to ask them questions, because USF fans at home might think this sounds biased, and I apologize, but I'm watching their D-line line up in the neutral zone on every single play, and they have yet to call it. And they are being very lenient with the line of scrimmage right now, this officiating crew. Now they look good. That's how you should line up.
Might be getting a little something from the sideline. Coaches tell them to get back as that run up the middle goes for a short gain, and T.J. Neal, the linebacker, made a nice stop over the middle. It's going to be third and long.
Yeah, this USF defense all season long has been really good against the run, too. They haven't given up a ton of big rushing games to anybody, and the Cougars really have thrived on the run. When they can run the football, that's what opens up the rest of the playbook. And a lot of people think, well, you know, today's day and age of college football is so spread out and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but the run game is still essential to football, right? It's not going anywhere. And, it sets up your passing game. That's just how it works. They really need to be able to pound the rock today.
And really essential in weather games like this with the cold. That pass deep over the middle is – oh, it's caught! How in the world did he come up with that play? Justin Pringle, unbelievable. Wow.
Holy smoke. The way he contorts his body up in the air to go over the defender who's in position to make the interception, that was the safety number 5, Cooper. Again, perfect textbook position. Justin Pringle just with a freakish athletic play. That's a massive play downfield for SXU.
He showed you why he's the leading receiver on this team. Saved a turnover, as you mentioned, as Venerable spins down to the 10-yard line. That was incredible. That ball was laid up. That was like a fly to center field, and the safety was back there waiting for it until Pringle just comes over and snatches it out of the air.
It's almost like the game you play when you were kids when you scream 500 dead or alive and you just huck it up and let everybody go fight for it.
Yeah.
That's kind of what that was there. But again, now we've seen 2 incredible athletic plays by this receiving core for the Cougars as well. Gray's incredible catch over on the 50, and then that latest play from Pringle.
From the 10, 2nd and 6. Venerable cuts inside, sniffing the end zone, but he's brought down just short. Knocked down at about the 3-yard line, and it'll be first down and goal for St. Xavier.
Amari Venerable is like a bowling ball with legs. He's so hard to tackle. It's actually impressive watching him run and how physical he is when he runs the football, and you saw it in that case right there. Did an excellent job, and now here come the big hogs for the Cougs.
Heavy set inside the 5-yard line. First and goal. Cougars looking to even this ball game up. Just inside of 2.5 to play here in the opening quarter. Venerable will take the Wildcat snap. Up the middle. Ball's forward. Touchdown. Oh, no touchdown. He was stopped just shy. It looked like he got into the end zone, but they're going to mark him at the goal line, just outside of it.
Yeah, from our vantage point, again, mind everybody, we're up on the press box roof here, and it looked like it. I thought I saw him roll into the end zone, but again, the officials have the better view, and they must have clearly seen his knee hit the ground in that instance, but they're going to go under center here, and here we
go. Ross straight ahead. There is a flag down. Ross got into the end zone for the score, but we'll have to check the flag. Came from the line judge on the near side of the field. Will they finally get them for that offside?
I think they might have, Redrick. We'll get that official word here.
That it is. Offside, penalty decline, touchdown Cougars. Stuart Ross with a run up the middle.
92%, Redrick. I tell you that statistic because that is the efficiency of a QB sneak in football to get positive yardage. Sometimes the simplest play in football gives you the results you want. Good execution by the Cougars. The big hogs up front to barrel into the end zone to get Stuart Ross for the touchdown.
Extra point by Peyton will tie it. Another flag is down. as the kick is good. And again, came from one of the line judges. And again, it's an offside. So they call it 2 times in a row after we saw it really on the first couple of drives of this game.
Now I'm starting to get nervous that they can hear us, Redrick.
Exactly, it's the other way
I'm starting
around.
to get a little nervous now. No, but again, you have to keep the other team accountable for the line of scrimmage. I mean, it's just the nature of the play, right? You want the integrity of the game, and we saw the Saints get away with it a little bit on that first drive, and even on this opening drive now for the Cougars here in their second offensive possession. But good on it. It looks like now they're really starting to crack down. Maybe they gave them a chance to be like, hey, guys, we're going to let you get away with it, but you keep doing it, we're going to have to call it. And that's exactly what happened. So 2 in a row, but doesn't matter to the result. We got a 7-7 ball game here, right?
Tie ball game. As we expected this game to be close, obviously still a ton of it to go, but so far pretty much the start that you would expect between these two schools.
Absolutely, and I'm actually surprised we've seen as much passing game today as we have so far. Obviously, it's still early, and that could very much change, and I could be put on freezing cold takes after that one. But, I mean, we've seen a lot of the 2 deep passes from Stuart Ross to Gray and Pringle. We've seen Tumulty have no problem pushing the ball downfield. Wind be damned, cold be damned. Both teams are like, hey, we're going to take shots. We really don't care. The wind doesn't scare us today. If this was last week and these 2 teams are playing, I would beg that they would differ a little bit because the wind was awful last week.
And the rain, too.
Yeah, exactly. But really interesting so far to see these 2 teams not afraid to push the ball downfield when I think we all could truthfully, confidently say when you look at the numbers and you look at the stats that these 2 football teams are going to want to run the football a lot today.
The stats would agree with that. The weather would agree with that. Nonetheless, we've seen quite a few deep balls today. It's led to a 7-7 ball game. Here's a short kick headed toward the sideline, and it goes right out of bounds. So St. Francis is going to have really good field positioning on this drive. As the flag came out for an illegal kick out of bounds.
Yeah, not entirely sure what happened there. I don't know if that was designed by any means. It certainly didn't seem like it. We've seen Peyton Bennis all season long have absolutely no issue, even on squib kicks, of being able to put it down the middle of the field. So maybe the ball just rolled on him at the last second. Maybe he didn't get his footing set, whatever. But certainly, like you said, very, very advantageous field position now for USF.
They will spot the ball right at about the 46-yard line. So for Sam Tumulty and company, they've got a pretty good head start on trying to retake the lead in this ball game. They scored first on a touchdown pass to the running back. Now they've got it here at the 46 of the tie game. Boy, a lot of confusion in the backfield, and that's going to lead to a loss on the play. Daniel McLaurin eventually came away with the ball. There were 3 Saints in the middle of the play there, and that one almost looked like disaster as well, and there's Jaleel Holloway making the tackle.
Yeah, misdirection is a great play because it can fool the defense, but unfortunately sometimes it'll fool your offense too. It looks like it might have just been mistimed potentially. Ideally there you want the receiver to go first, then the quarterback makes his read with the running back, and mumble jumble, loss of a yard.
Yeah, all things considered, not that bad for St. Francis, just lost a yard, and then Tumulty got the carry up to the 49-yard line, and it will set up a 3rd down here for St. Francis. Stopped at the 49-yard line. Here comes a 3rd down and about 7.
Really interested to see what play design they do here because, again, we've seen this USF team not afraid to push the ball downfield a little bit today. Wonder if they're going to try and get a little trickery involved, maybe something that the Cougars aren't ready for, or just see if Tumulty can push the ball downfield successfully once again.
He'll look to throw. Steps up, goes deep again over the middle, and incomplete, and flags down as there were 2 Cougars on the coverage that time. And it looks like we're going to get a DPI, but the question is on who, as Countryman was out there as well as Tyler Barnett.
Yeah, I'll make the bet it's going to be on Countryman.
Number 29. It's a 15-yard penalty. First down.
Yeah, and so far, I think what the most interesting thing is when you look at the structure of this USF roster, outside of only a couple of their receivers, there's some big dudes.
Oh, yeah.
They got some large bodies at receiver today. I mean, just a couple of them, right? We were talking about Jordan earlier. He's 6'4". You've got Gavin at 6'2". I mean, these guys are monsters out there on the sidelines. And again, these Cougar DBs are a little smaller, so they want to take advantage of that size mismatch, especially downfield, as you saw there.
Yeah, they've been going downfield this entire quarter. Tumulty keeps off the fake, cuts back inside, got a good block off that left edge. And Sam Tumulty with a nice gain of 9, and that should take us to the end of quarter number 1. Fun start to this ball game, 7-7. Cougars and Saints all tied up after one period of play.
So please stand up and be recognized. On behalf of the St. Xavier University and St. Francis University, we sincerely thank you for your service. And fans, one more time, let's give these men and women a big round of applause. Thank you very much for your service.
Second quarter from Deaton Memorial, and a tie ball game, 7-7 between the Saints and the Cougars. Alongside Ron Luce, I'm Redrick Terry. What a fun start to this ball game. On the other side of the break, though, if you're just joining us, there was a pass interference call on the Cougars defense that is now setting up St. Francis with great field positioning now inside the Cougar 30. At the 28, it's second down and a yard after the 9-yard run by Sam Tumulty, who's off to a good start both through the air and on the ground today. He will keep it up the middle, broke 2 tackles, and has a first down inside the 20. You know, you talked about it earlier. This guy looks like a running back. He's the quarterback, but just on that play right there, you can see his quickness and his ability to break tackles. It's truly something special.
Yeah, and I think if I did my research correctly, Redrick, and those that I spoke to didn't wrong me, rumor has it he was a running back in high school, and then they converted him here to a quarterback. He's got the arm. I mean, he looks like a true quarterback, given how beautiful some of these balls come out of his hand. But, I mean, like you said, you can see the natural explosion, and he's a bendy runner, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
he bends and just accepts contact like a running back would.
Now at the 19, here he goes again. Tried to get away from one and could not. Van Williams Jr. was the first one there to slow down Tumulty for the short gain.
If you're Tumulty, you probably got to love this offense. Like, I was just thinking about that. Hey, this offense is built around him. It's built to use his speed as a runner. It's built to push the ball downfield with big receivers. They got big tight ends on the roster as well. Number 21, Daniel Ghosh, is 6'3" and 230 pounds. That's a big man playing tight end. It's got to be fun. You know, it's got to be fun because this offense is all about misdirection, speed, and big plays, and they've shown that they can pull that off.
Second down and 9. He'll throw. One-on-one, end zone pass is picked off by Countryman. Kevin Countryman vacuums it in on the one-on-one coverage on the near side. There is a flag down, but it will go against St. Francis. The interception will stand.
Good
so
coverage.
Kevin Countryman with the pick, his 6th now of the season.
Excellent, excellent, excellent coverage by Kevin Countryman. And they tried to take advantage of that mismatch once again with the size. We saw them push the ball downfield twice now, really. And one was incomplete earlier in the game. One was the DPI that we saw. Now that goes to show when Tumulty kind of underthrew that football just a hair. If he pushes it more toward the back pylon, your big receiver's got a chance to go up and actually make a play on it. In that case, Countryman just hanging out like a nice cozy, cozy person in a big hacky sack in the receiver's body there, and he's able to pick it off for a massive turnover.
Another fumble on the snap, and now a scramble for the ball at the 16-yard line. And it looks like the Cougars were able to jump back on it. But that's, the fourth time now that's happened in this ball game.
Yeah, and again, we mentioned it earlier. When you can't feel your hands, you don't know where the ball's going sometimes, especially when you're a center like Olsen is. He relies on very clean and accurate snaps overall. I mean, he's no issues with the delivery of the football by any means. But sometimes in this kind of weather, and it could be on the quarterback too in some instances, right? You go to catch it and you just don't feel your hands quite right. The ball hits it weird and all of a sudden it falls down. But here's Kyle Quinn now, a quarterback.
Yeah, Quinn. Ross was at the bottom of that pile. You never like to see that, as Quinn gets the carry, and Quinn on second down gets about a yard of that 4-yard loss back.
And Stu still out there, though, was over on a receiver in that little bit of wildcat formation there, but now looks like he'll be back in here. 3rd and 13, Redrick. I say it week in, week out. There's not a lot of plays on the play script for anything beyond 10 yards, so interested to see what the Cougs do here.
With Venerable in the backfield, he's got 4 receivers, 3 to the right. Under pressure, gets away, buys time, rolls out, cuts back, and he will be dropped. That is a great defensive play by Michael Whitney in the open field to bring down the big quarterback Ross, and it's 4th down.
Yeah, and in that case, that's just good coverage downfield, too. Ross was eyes downfield the whole way. He wasn't looking to just take off and run for it. He wanted to push the ball downfield. But once again, this USF secondary showing why they've been so good all year and why they're, now a number, I think they're 19 in the polls, if I remember correctly. They're showing why. They have the defensive backs to allow that front 3 or front 4 whenever they rush to get after the quarterback, and a beautiful play there, as you mentioned.
Will force another Cougar punt. That's a good one. Out across the 40 and bouncing, and it'll be stopped at the 33.
Great kick from Justin Pringle. The Cougars have a host of guys that punt the football, for those that don't know. No true punter on the roster. Peyton Bennis exclusively a place kicker for these Cougars. So this season it's been a mix. Joe Pacelli is back now and healthy after missing the last 3 weeks with a knee injury. Good to see him back. He's done some punting duties. Pringle's done some punting duties, and we saw Chavers earlier on the first punt for the Cougars. So, they got a rotation. There's design behind it. I don't want to say why and why too much, but there's a design behind it and why they got 3 guys kicking the football.
Pringle's had some good ones this year. He's got a long of 47. That was a good one too. On first down, they will run it up the middle. And a short gain, call it about a gain of 2 on the play. So they actually don't go to Tumulty that time, but you saw Tumulty was up running out to the edge, and the defenders, they were looking that way. You always got to know where 22 is.
Absolutely, and so far, really what we've seen from their run game, they're most successful in the run game when they're running outside zone. And for those at home that don't understand that concept, outside zone blocks, it's almost an area scheme for the line, right? They're blocking guys in an area. They're working the stacks as pairs on the line. And that's when Tumulty can use that shiftiness and cut back and make plays. But when it's just a design run up the middle, the Cougs have done a nice job filling the hole.
Another handoff for James Williams. He had that touchdown reception on the opening drive of the game for the Saints. And on this play, he gets up to the 41-yard line, and Marcus Ovick is there for another tackle.
Yeah, and again, the Saints want to attack the edge of the Cougars' defense. They're strong up the middle, the Cougs are in the middle. Their front 7 arguably some of the best in the NAIA. Joey Markosovic leading that charge. Peyton Nigro is an absolute baller at one of the linebacker positions. Finn Brandon's had a good season as well. So I think this USF team understands, hey, we want to attack the outside. We want to get to the numbers.
3rd and 2. A handoff on the outside, and the Cougars defense stands up as McLaurin was brought down right at the line of scrimmage. No gain, 4th down.
Excellent tackle there by number 3, Ron Carroll. He is the second leading tackler on this Cougars team, an absolute playmaker from that safety position. Beautiful run by him. Finn Brandon also in the neighborhood on that tackle as well. Great job scraping down the line of scrimmage and negating any kind of gain for McLaurin.
So we saw a couple touchdowns early. Now the defense is starting to settle in here in the second quarter. Back-to-back punts. And Pringle, who just punted the ball on the other side, he'll have to return here. Another flag is out as Pringle calls for fair catch and makes it at the 20. Again, that one back toward the line of scrimmage.
Interested to see what the yellow hanky is here. Wondering if it's offside on the Cougars. That's about the only thing I could imagine there, because if it's a false start, they would kill the penalty. Oh, and it is a false start. But it is,
yeah.
Looks like it might be offsetting? There's a question mark behind that
here,
offsetting. Yeah. We'll get a word here in just a second.
Illegal formation, more than 4 in the backfield. Offense. That 5-yard penalty will be enforced in the succeeding spot. 1st down.
Well, that gives the Cougars a little 5-yard boost. Illegal formation.
It's the second illegal formation we've already seen. I think that's more than we've seen all season here at Bruce Ardite Memorial Field. So certainly interesting there. But, yeah, again, you heard it, more than 4 in the backfield. You have to have a certain number of guys on the line of scrimmage, certain number of guys off, et cetera. The beautiful complexities of football, Redrick. So, free 5 yards for the Cougs here instead of on the 20. Cougs taking on the 25-yard line to start this drive.
And they will once again start it with Quinn in the backfield. He will hand off Pringle, tries to cut back inside, spun away, and gets a good gain up across the 30 and marked down at the 34-yard line on a gain of 9 on the play. And Scott Tumulty was there for the tackle.
Cougs said, anything you can do, USF, we can do better. We're seeing a lot of these jet sweeps today. That's probably between these two teams, at least the 4th or 5th one we've seen already. Again, trying to attack the numbers. Both of these teams know that each defense is solid up the middle. You got to get to the outside in order to create big plays in the run game.
And they've got the speed to do it as well. 2nd down in the yard. Fake the give, back over to Pringle. He's got a 1st down. He's got a block in front, and Justin Pringle has a 1st down up near the 45-yard line.
As a former offensive lineman, Redrick, I'm always going to appreciate a good block, and Brant Hickson did a textbook job there on the screen. That's the kind of the trouble a lot of times when teams can't throw screens, is because the receivers aren't good blockers. That is the biggest key in the screen game. And in that instance, you saw it there. Pringle able to catch that ball cleanly. Nobody within 5 yards of him. Excellent job by Hickson to get on his man, too, in order to convert for a fresh set of downs.
Ended up being a 16-yard gain and a 1st down for Justin Pringle and the Cougars. Hold everything. We got a stoppage here. Going to switch out the ball. Looks like it, yeah.
Yeah, each team has their own sets of footballs on either sideline for those at home that maybe don't know that. And sometimes the ball guys will mess them up, and SXU get a USF ball and vice versa. And, they just want to make sure everybody's got their proper footballs.
Ross will throw. Under pressure. Got away again. Rolling away again, and has the smart play to just throw it away. More good coverage in the secondary by St. Francis.
Yeah, and what we've seen so far from this defense for St. Francis, there is ability later in the play as the play develops where these Cougars receivers are coming open, but by that time, they've already flushed Ross out of the pocket. When he's on the run, that is the one only downfall to when a quarterback is on the run throwing the football is 9 times out of 10, you pretty much eliminate half of the field. Yeah. That's essentially what happens there, and we're seeing that a lot. These USF defense force Ross to work with just one side of the field.
2nd and 10. Ross will throw quickly outside. Catch made. There goes Pringle again. A first down for Justin Pringle down to the 40 of St. Francis.
And the Cougars are doing a great job on this drive, getting that ball outside again to the numbers. That is the key. I'm going to say it all day. I'm going to sound like a broken record. And again, excellent blocking from your receivers to give Pringle enough space there to convert for yet another fresh set of downs.
Venerable had a block out there as well, and now the Cougars are on a drive. Best one of the quarter so far. Venerable, left side, still on his feet and fights forward for a gain of 5. Nice play by Amari Venerable. It's almost like we're just waiting for that one big burst from him as he kind of works his way back into the fold.
Absolutely, and yeah, they've missed him dearly all season long, and we'll actually get the first look now at the lead tailback for most of the season, Mario Price. But having Venerable back in the fold after the offseason injury, huge for this Cougars run game because, again, a year ago was a 1,000-yard rusher, and you're seeing the impact he makes in the run game. He's really, really, really difficult to bring down.
2nd and 5. Fake it to Price, and a receiver out there fell. That was Brant Hickson as they tried to set up the screen, and it'll be 3rd down.
You know in the old cartoons, Redrick, where like a couple of characters get their feet and ankles all tied together? That's exactly what happened out there. It looks like Hickson, looks like he might have tripped either on the back foot of Pringle making the block or the corner that was out there for USF. Not sure which one, but just fell on the route, and at least it falls incomplete if you're SXU.
And sets up 3rd and 5. And a throw. Ross under pressure again. Now he'll try to take off, and he was tripped up across the line of scrimmage. Nicely done by Ryan King, and that will set up a 4th down after a gain of 1.
Yeah, and we've been talking about this USF front 4, front 3, whatever they're rushing, forcing Stu out of the pocket, the defense with good coverage. On that play, it truly just looked like Ross held onto the ball too long. Hesitant with making decisions. They talk about it when you're driving a car, right? When you're learning to drive for the first time, they're like, hesitation will kill you. It's kind of the same way as a quarterback. If you hesitate too long, that's what happens. Then you just have to take off and run because the play is already developed too far.
Early 4th down test here for St. Xavier, and they pass it to the outside. It is caught. Trying to fight for the sticks was Hickson, and he's brought down short of the marker. Another stop for the St. Francis defense, and a good drive for the Cougars comes to an end at the 32-yard line where St. Francis will take over.
I don't often criticize play calling, or at least never try to, Redrick, but in that instance, especially when you've seen all day how much this USF defense flows to the ball and how quickly they get there, in that instance, when you're on the left hash, it almost feels like you might want to work with the short side of the field in that short yardage scenario because it's a quicker throw. You're getting it to your playmaker a little faster. In that instance, Hickson had to wait for the ball just to get to him, and by that time, Mata had already broke on the receiver.
Unsportsmanlike conduct, new offense, number 8. It's a 15-yard penalty. It will be 1st and 10 as the ball has not yet been spotted. Number 8, first unsportsmanlike conduct foul.
That is the senior defensive back, Angel Mata, and I love the classification on the new offense.
New offense. I thought I heard that too, and I kind of grinned as well, yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, but tensions are high. Yeah. We've seen it so far. These guys, everybody knows what's on the line that's in this game wearing shoulder pads and helmets or on the sideline. And sometimes the temper gets the best of you and the emotions get the best of you. In that case, that's a really harmful penalty to your offense.
Yeah, St. Francis, we talked about how fired up they must be coming into this game. 1-23 overall against the Cougars in the history of these two schools playing. Tumulty looked like he wanted to throw. Then he'll take off and run, and he broke a couple tackles. There is a flag back in the backfield as Tumulty gets up across the 20 to the 21-yard line, but we'll check on the flag. Came from the backfield. And the hold on Logan Miller, the sophomore.
Now you're starting to see this Cougars pass rush affect the game. They really didn't have a chance to even get to Tumulty much because of how much they were running the football early. But now you're starting to see it. They want to step back. They want to push the ball downfield, they being USF. And this is when you see the big guys and the big hogs up front like Holloway and Campbell really start to make their mark, and that's exactly what happened there.
So that will back up the Saints inside their own 10-yard line. At the 7, it's 1st and 20, and not a place you want to be when the defensive line is starting to turn things up.
No, most definitely not.
That's McLaurin in motion. Tumulty will keep it up the middle, bought some space, and gets up to the 12-yard line for a gain of 5.
I'm still waiting for USF to throw the football out of empty backfield. We haven't seen that yet. Everything's been designed run for Tumulty. So if I'm the Cougars defense, you might want to say, like, hey, they're probably going to run the ball, but that's also why that's dangerous. So you can't totally buy into that. But definitely in that case, that's high alert for your linebackers of, guys, get ready. We got to get, hats on hats because the offensive line is going to look to create space for Tumulty.
Inside of 4 minutes to play here in the second quarter. Tie ball game at 7, 2nd down and 15 for the Saints. Another run. Tumulty. Got a block in front from the running back, and he gets a short gain on the play, maybe a pickup of 1. And there's Markusovic again for the tackle. Sets up 3rd and long.
Yeah, and the guy that was a little harder to see on the play that didn't get any love from the PA was number 26, Jacob Denny.
There you go.
He's the one initially flowing and filling on that. And Markusovic able to come from behind a scraping linebacker across the formation and make the play as well.
So here's a 3rd and long situation, and this is always interesting to see how a scrambling quarterback deals with a 3rd down and long to go. Tumulty is back there with McLaurin. And a 4-wide set. Blitz. Tumulty in trouble. And down he goes. Brought down in the backfield. Nicely done by the Cougars and Ron Carroll.
Perfectly designed blitz. It was time to dial it up for SXU. Now we got an injury timeout. One of the offensive linemen looks like for USF down the field trying to see a number. Redrick, I don't know if you can see it better than I can.
It looks like 72. Now they do have 2 72s on this roster. That will stop things with 2:40 left to play here in the first half.
Going back to the play, though, while we have a minute to breathe here, incredible timing to dial up the blitz because we really haven't seen the Cougars bring much blitz at all today. They've been very willing to let their linebackers play coverage, let their DBs just play coverage. That's the first time we've seen the Cougars bring more than maybe 4 guys, maybe 5 at most. And in that instance, it pays off for SXU. Huge play by Ron Carroll getting in the backfield, taking down Tumulty. And now you're setting yourself up if you're the Cougars for a chance with great field position, just 2:45 left on the clock here in half number 1.
So offensively, what's your strategy for the Cougars as they come back out? They still have all 3 of their timeouts, and they have 2 of them. They had to use one earlier, but they still have an opportunity here to take the lead before the half.
Yeah, well, USF gets the ball after the half. I think that's a key element to keep in mind here as well. They deferred the opening kickoff after winning the coin toss. So if you're the Cougars, you're going to be on the other side of the 50. You're in USF territory to start this drive inevitably, unless this punt absolutely just gets booted out of the stadium. But overall, you just have to attack. You have to go get a score. You want to wind the clock down as much as possible, too, because you don't want to give USF time to maybe get a sneaky touchdown before the half and then also receive the second half kickoff, too.
Brian Maddie will be back there, and that looked like a false start. It wasn't called, and Maddie's punt is a short one. And another flag is down as Pringle says, no, sir, and stays away from it at the 42-yard line.
And people at home might be freaking out because Pringle did touch that football, and everybody's like, why isn't he going to get it? No, it's okay. Kick-catch interference is going to be the call here. The gunner there for USF was way too close to Pringle. You have to give, especially on a fair catch, you have to give the punt returner time to catch the football.
Kick-catch interference. Penalties 15 yards in the spot of the foul. First down.
And the calmness of the senior Justin Pringle, he already knew what it was as soon as it happened. That's why you explain the lack of sense of urgency in that moment. They already knew.
And that's an instance where if I'm Joe Curry on the other sideline, I'm not in his ear necessarily, but I'm walking over to him and giving him a little tap on the hip and going, dude, he called the fair catch.
Yeah.
Just let him catch the football. Don't get in his face. Don't try to be flashy. Don't try to be a knucklehead. because you just costed your team 15 yards for absolutely no reason.
And that starts the Cougars inside the 30. Oh, look at this. It's going to be a pass downfield and a touchdown. Kyle Quinn with the touchdown pass to Mason Gray.
Attack, attack, attack. That's exactly what we said for this offensive drive. Cougars dialing up the trickery. A little flick around the end around to Quinn. He comes up throwing. Quinn was a quarterback in high school, too. He's an excellent athlete. He comes up throwing, and it's Mason Gray with the big touchdown, and the Cougars jump in front with 2:22 left on the clock.
Mason Gray from Kyle Quinn. Deep into the bag of tricks go the Cougars. And they do it to take the lead here right before the half. Bennis, extra point is in, and it's a 14-7 lead.
Listen to this near sideline, too, because we don't have our mics dialed up that loud, ladies and gentlemen, and you can feel and hear the roar on this home sideline after that touchdown. That is a momentum-flipping play.
Yeah.
When you take advantage, again, there's the 15 yards coming into the equation. Because I hate to break it to everybody, even on a great throw from Quinn like that, Mason Gray probably gets tackled if they're throwing that play from the 40-yard line or even the 50-yard line. But because of how much closer you are, because of an unnecessary flag, that's what happens. And now USF pays for penalties because we're starting to see them pile up.
Play clock operator, please stop by the officials' locker room at halftime. Play clock operator,
Uh-oh.
officials' locker
Somebody's in
room
trouble.
at halftime.
Oh,
Thank you.
boy, that sounded somewhat ominous.
That's like when you're in elementary
Whoa.
school and it's Ron Lewis, please come down to the principal's office. We need to speak with you. Please come down to the principal's
My,
office.
oh,
Thank
my.
you. That's exactly what that
All right,
felt like.
Yeah.
Looks like the play clock operator is going to get, I don't want to say a lecture, but I think
A
that's the
nice talking
nicest,
to.
the nicest way we can put it at halftime.
Boy.
Oh, man. But what a play design. The Cougars over the years have always been so good at knowing when to dial up the trickery. And Fem loves trickery. It's usually Fem's call every single time there's a trick play from the Cougars. And, I mean, not the craziest trick play necessarily, but you take advantage of a guy who was a high school quarterback in Quinn, throws an absolute dime to a wide-open Mason Gray. And that's a big score for SXU.
Squib kick is returned now out across the 30, and a good return out near the 35, and then a flag is down. More penalty flags are down, and right now St. Xavier is saying it's going the other way.
Oh, it sure is. I saw it very cleanly. Tumulty punched somebody in the helmet, and they always get the second guy. It's not the first guy. You always get the second guy. Somebody got in Tumulty's face. They gave him a little shove out of bounds. He didn't like it. Big old smack to the helmet, and the officials were all over it. That's going to be 15 yards walk-off against USF.
Boy, really costly penalties starting to pile up here for St. Francis in this second quarter.
And we'll go back to being the Redrodamus and Ronstradamus here for a second, because we had it scripted in the open.
That's right.
You play a game up to be too big, your emotions get the best of you. And that's exactly what happened for USF.
40 on the kicking team, 1 receiving team.
Ooh.
Penalties offset. First and 10.
Lucky that they caught the
No
SXU
kidding.
guy as well, because,
Yeah.
again, we said the second guy always gets caught. I was able to see the punch from Tumulty all the way up here, but good job by the officiating crew, though. That's an instance where you're actually happy that they see what is developing in that instance. That's a big getaway for USF, not having to walk off 15 from that spot.
Yeah, the freshman Terry Elias was called for the Cougars that time for the second of the offsetting penalties. Now here's a play trying to break it to the outside was Daniel McLaurin, and a nice tackle. I believe that was Jacob Denny who was over there to trip him up.
Sure was. These cornerbacks have been playing excellent today for the Cougars. This is really actually the first time in a couple of weeks we've seen both Denny and Countryman on the field. They had Phillips making his first start as a freshman last week in the win here at Deaton Field, and now you're starting to see why these two guys are two of the better corners, especially in the MSFA. They can not only defend the pass well, they play the run incredibly well as well.
Kept that run to a gain of 2, 2nd and 8. Tumulty in trouble. Flag is down as Tumulty gets away. Oh, my goodness, that's 4 broken tackles on one play for Tumulty as he gets up to the 43-yard line, but it most likely won't count as the flag was in the backfield. And the first indication is holding.
Holding offense number 72. 10 yards from the previous spot. Remains second down.
And meanwhile, Van Williams Jr. was shaken up on the play for the Cougars. He walks off to the sideline.
That pass rush for the Cougars is starting to get after these USF offensive linemen. And it's an interesting thing, Redrick, because you watch how college teams recruit and build their roster. When you have an athletic quarterback like that, you want big maulers in the run game on the offensive line. But sometimes they aren't the best pass blockers. And I'm not taking anything away from these young men that play for USF. They're obviously at the NAIA level for a reason. But you're starting to see it. Elite pass rush from the Cougars is starting to get to them, and that's going to be something to keep an eye on in the second half as well.
This is 2nd down and 17. Tumulty again has to step away from pressure. Fires to the near sideline, and the pass is complete. Quick catch made and out of bounds. Daniel Godish, the tight end.
Yeah, and a good job by Tumulty. Again, you're seeing the complete quarterback in Tumulty. He's not just a runner. Because in that instance, right, a guy that's just a runner is immediately taking off and trying to pick up yards with his feet. In that instance, keeps his eyes downfield, willing to run if he absolutely needs to, but you see the wide open receiver there on the near sideline, gets out of bounds to stop the clock too. That's a really good heads-up decision by a sophomore quarterback who sometimes you don't see, and he's not a traditional quarterback either. He didn't play it in high school. So you're seeing the football IQ and the athleticism really bleed through right now for Tumulty.
We're going to get a timeout here from St. Francis. So they want to talk things over here with 56 seconds to play. And that growth, I think, is so important, obviously, at the quarterback position, but especially for a quarterback like Tumulty that can run, that can throw. And like you mentioned, that isn't a traditional quarterback, didn't start as a quarterback. Seeing that growth has to be very exciting for St. Francis and for Tumulty as well, obviously.
Absolutely, and you're seeing what USF's building. They're a top 25 program now in the NAIA, and it's exciting when you know you have a kind of a cheat code of sorts at quarterback, at least for 2 more years, too. Again, we mentioned he's an underclassman, so got to be exciting for the future. Obviously, USF dialed in right now in the moment, in the present, but that's something definitely to keep an eye on as well going forward.
We've got more of those white flakes starting to fall here at Deaton Memorial Field.
Lots of displeasure now. Now we gotta start covering up equipment.
Cover our stuff up.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't start too much, but we'll take a little light flurries for the ambiance of it.
3rd down and 9. Flag is down. St. Francis saw everybody on the offense has their hands in the air like, what happened?
Might be a false start on the quarterback. Oh. That's an interesting call.
Disconcerting signals on Marcus Sovic.
I'm not entirely sure what that means.
You got me.
I don't think I've ever seen that called, to be honest with you.
That's a first for me as well.
Well, that's big for the Saints, though. 5-yard walk-off. This is 3rd and manageable now, but again, your worst enemy if you're USF, here is the clock.
Yeah, so you go from a 2nd and 17 to a 3rd and 4 for St. Francis, and Tumulty was in trouble, and down he goes. Cougars brought the house. And Ayobami Arakoyo, among many others, was there for the tackle.
Arakoyo, Elias, countryman getting involved on the sack. Again, Coach McEwen for these Cougars is dialing up the pressure at the right times. He's hitting all the right buttons right now for this defense. And the Cougs now going to stop the clock because you're probably going to have a chance to steal a possession here, pardon me. This is going to be really interesting. And Redrick, I'm going to turn it over to you because I know you're a football guy. You got a good IQ as well. What are you doing if you're the Cougars here in this situation? Because realistically, you're probably getting the ball on the punt. We'll call it at your own 30-yard line.
This is like one of those things that 50 seconds left in the half. It's almost like some coaches would like to go to the half. Some coaches want to try it. This is almost like, it reminds me of Madden, where you're trying to get like that last little bit of scoring here right before the half. But, for the Cougars, I mean, this quarter has really gone their way. And quite frankly, when you look at the stats for the year, the first 3 quarters, they've actually outscored their opponents in each of those quarters. So anytime, and especially with USF getting the ball out of the half, you want to try and tack on as much as you can right before the midway point.
Yeah, and absolutely interesting here. The Cougars are bringing the house on the punt. For those that might not be able to see it at home, there is no returner back for SXU. This is just bring the house and try to get a block.
Well, Brian Mady going to try and get it away as soon as possible, and he does. That was a spiral punt. That looked like a throw down the field. And it finally comes to a stop at the 30.
See, I set you up right. Said you get the ball at the 30, Roderick.
Look
I
at
just
that.
say.
So with 37 seconds to go, St. Xavier will take over there. And they've only got one timeout. They can get the ball down the field. Now, this is obviously not the best day to be kicking the ball in terms of a field goal, but they do have some opportunities here. 37 seconds left and a timeout.
Yeah, I'm very intrigued now to learn what the game plan is, because I think after you saw the timeout taken by the Cougs and then what they did in terms of special teams, it makes me think that's the reason for the timeout is for that decision. So who knows what they're going to do now with 4 wide.
Another sweet play outside. Hickson cuts back and gets out across the 40 with a first down to the 42. They're going to try and get back to the line quick. Clock stops momentarily for the down markers to be reset. 30 seconds and now rolling again.
Moving quickly are the Cougars.
Ross got time, got away from one, now fires over the middle and incomplete. And that one was almost another play where he goes back across his body, kind of scary, but it ends up being incomplete, intended for Pringle.
I'm gonna reference a little bit of a pop culture item here, but you know the little GIF of the guy from The Simpsons going, "Ha ha, I'm in danger." That's what Ross should be thinking when he's rolling out trying to throw back across his body. We saw one get picked off. We see another one harmlessly fall incomplete there, but that could have been disastrous. So Ross in that instance just needs to throw the ball out of bounds.
Now they're going to run it with Venerable. And will this be the big one that we've been waiting for? Venerable is brought down nicely in the open field. A nice tackle by Nick Mabudas. And we get a timeout by St. Xavier. They spend their final timeout. Interesting call here. So at the 49-yard line of St. Francis, the Cougars will call a timeout. Now they put 13 on the clock. So theoretically, if you're able to stop the clock somehow by getting out of bounds after the first play, you might have 2 plays here.
Yeah, I think that's what the game plan is going to be. And, again, you have to work the short side of the field here. It's got to be quick. It's got to be to the sideline, exactly like you said, Redrick. You're going for the first down. You got, 2 yards to go, we'll call it here, third and about 2, maybe 3. Get just a quick, receiver in the flat, out, step out of bounds, and then what you can do, because it's a little long for a field goal. Bennis has a good leg, but maybe not that good of a leg. Then, Redrick, we're putting on our best attire. We're going to church because we're saying Hail Mary and we're seeing what happens before the clock hits 0. That's at least, again, if I'm the one pulling the strings on the offense, I think that's what this game plan has to be in this instance. Work with this short side of the field here on our near sideline, get the first down, and then see what you can do with it on a potential Hail Mary to the end zone.
So, again, 13 seconds, no timeouts left for the Cougars in this first half. Ross trying to get somebody to jump offside. They stay put. Now Ross will look to throw. He's in trouble again. Now heads toward the far side. And throws to the sideline. He had his man open, Pringle. So that really sets it up nicely. 4 seconds left at the 35-yard line.
Now you can think about a field goal. Again, I think it's still a little long for Bennis. He's, again, got a good leg, but this is a much more manageable attempt now for a shot at the end zone because we've seen Stuart Ross hit these 30 to 35-yard streak routes all season long. So you got your 3 to the near side here. I think it's going to be go get it and see what happens.
Last play of the half. They'll rush 4. Ross steps up, fires deep, right on the goal line, incomplete. Nicely covered down there by the Saints. There was a bit of a collision, and slow to get up was Mason Gray, but he does eventually. So you got Mason Gray, who was shaken up on that play, along with Jalen Cooper for the Saints. Everybody gets up and gingerly walks off as that takes us to halftime. 14-7 is the score. What a fun game it's been so far. Saints and Cougars with St. Xavier in front by 7 at the break. Halftime here at Deaton Memorial Field, home of the Cougars on Senior Day. The hometown team has the lead 14-7 as we get ready for quarter number 3. Alongside Ron Luce, I'm Redrick Terry. We talked about it. Boy, what a fun game it's been so far. We expected it to be a close one. Pretty much all of these games against St. Francis and St. Xavier have been close. This one no different. What stood out to you in that first half?
I think it's just the adjustments that are made throughout the first half, Frederick. As you saw it right on that opening drive, Cougars had no answer for Tumulty. He was running all over the place, a couple of 10-yard gains right out the gate, just design quarterback runs, and then the beautiful touchdown pass, down the near sideline here to Williams. Really set the tone nicely. But then you saw the Cougars start to dial it in. You saw the pass rush start to get after Tumulty when they realized he's not just going to run the football all day. He's actually going to sit back and attempt to throw it. So overall, I think that's the biggest takeaway, is just seeing how both of these teams have adjusted to one another throughout the first half.
First half stats, Stuart Ross, 7 of 13, 103 yards. He threw a pick, and the only passing touchdown on the side of the St. Xavier Cougars came your way via Kyle Quinn on a 27-yard touchdown throw as he was able to find Mason Gray into the end zone. That was one of the 2 scoring plays in the first half for the Cougars. And on the other side, Sam Tumulty doing what he does on the ground. It's a great first half, 11 carries, 46 yards. That's kind of tame for him after a half a play. That just speaks to what he's been able to do this season. 2 of 5 through the air and 28 yards with a touchdown and an interception. And right now, the Cougars leading in total yardage, 195-86 over St. Francis. And really the turnovers were the difference. Both teams, especially St. Francis, when you talk about them, they came into this game plus 13 in the turnover margin. They just don't turn the ball over. And then on the other side, the defense, they love to get the takeaways. And that's what's led to that. But so far it's been pretty tame, and that's what's led to this pretty close game as we've played 30 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been really interesting to see who can take the ball away. And I think that's probably going to be the key here in the second half. You can say it's stopping the run, or it's getting more big plays downfield, or whatever. I really think whoever just takes care of the football here in the second half is going to come away with this ball game.
And whoever does come away with the ball game will be in the postseason. And the winner of the MSFA Midwest. Lots on the line for the final 30 minutes of this contest. It will be St. Francis to get the ball first out of half. Crowd filing back in. A great crowd on hand here at Deaton Memorial today. On this senior day, Bennis kicks it away. And returnable at the 10-yard line. This is Scott Tumulty on the return, and he's tripped up. And right just shy of the 30-yard line. That was Antonio Orozco, the junior from Romeoville, Illinois, with a really good open field tackle.
Yeah, excellent special team play there for Orozco. Tumulty, I'm assuming brothers. I don't want to totally assume, but I'm going to assume brothers. Both Tumulty's incredible athletes. You saw Scott on the defensive side today, especially in the return game. He's been an absolute factor, and for them to make a good play like that, limit the damage that can be done against you on special teams is certainly key.
So first down at the 28-yard line for Sam Tumulty, who hands off to Daniel McLaurin, who gets out across the 30 to the 31-yard line for a gain of 3. St. Francis, that early touchdown they had in the first quarter off the turnover, and that was really it for them offensively. The Cougars defense did a great job stepping up for the rest of the half.
Yeah, Cougars defense has been really strong in, like you mentioned, the latter part of that first half. They're certainly going to want to continue that here in half number 2. They've been able to limit and tame Tumulty a little bit in the run game, and so far overall they've done a nice job against the pass as well. You mentioned the turnovers earlier, Countryman with the interception early on.
2nd and 7. Low snap, Tumulty picks it up and gets it out quickly. And nothing much going over that side. There's Peyton Nigro on the tackle of Daniel Getch, the tight end, for a short gain.
With the big collar and everything, Peyton Nigro having an excellent senior season. as the linebacker, aside Marcus Sovic at almost all times on the field. You know, this is the SXU version of the Urlacher and Briggs from back in the day for the Bears. It's Marcus Sovic and Nigro, and an excellent play there by the latter.
Doesn't it just warm your heart to see a good neck roll on a player?
Absolutely.
Especially a dominating defensive player. Nothing like it. Here's 3rd and 5. Quick pass to the outside is complete, and trying to work his way toward the sticks. He will not get there. Stopped short right at about the 36-yard line, and it might have been Nigro once again who made the tackle for the Cougars and forces a punt.
Sure does. Another great play from Peyton Nigro, this time on the far side of the field, and you know, that's just good discipline, breaks down, gets in McLaurin right away. And, yeah, a couple yards gained by McLaurin, but nothing much in terms of damage against the defense. And it's number 4 who forces down number 4.
That's right. And Brian Maddie will punt it away. So, quick 3 and out for St. Francis. And now Pringle watches this kick take a favorable bounce for St. Xavier, and they will have it at the 36-yard line. So out come the Cougars on offense, and a big opportunity for them. They've got the 7-point advantage right out of half. Their defense gets on the field and forces a quick 3 and out. And now the Cougars have an opportunity to open up a lead, something that neither team has been able to do yet today.
Yeah, and in terms of momentum and metaphorical winds and sails here, Redrick, this is the type of drive that really can take the little bit of wind out of USF's sail if the Cougars are able to punch in and take a 2-score lead.
Ross back there with Venerable. He'll look to throw, swings it out. Pass is complete out across the 30, and trying to work his way back to the line of scrimmage is Mason Gray, and he was not able to do so as he gets out of bounds at the 34-yard line for a loss of 2.
Really interesting little concept of that play that I don't know if anybody picked up on at home, but it looked like Mason Gray was coming up to throw the ball, Redrick. It looked like a little bit of trickery coming out of the half as the Cougars were trying to do it, but Gray wisely not trying to do anything too silly and potentially cough up the football, just takes it and tries to get back to the line of scrimmage. Unfortunately, loss of a few yards, but smart play by Gray.
Gray, of course, on the receiving end in the first half of a trick play that ended in a touchdown. Here's a run right up the middle for Ross. Stuart Ross on the carry. Then the ball came out. Loose ball on the play, and it's picked up by St. Francis. So a turnover right out of the gate for the Cougars. Stuart Ross, who gets up and is holding on to his wrist. He might be a little bit shaken up. He fumbled the ball, turns it over, and a huge opportunity now for St. Francis.
The only issue ever with a whatever run play 1 is what they'll call it when it's a quarterback run a lot of times on the play sheet, is you risk a guy who's not typically a runner. Ross, great athlete, don't get me wrong, but not always a runner. More of a runner when necessary rather than a designed runner. And then in that instance, when he's not used to running the football and hanging on to it, that's a big turnover right out of the half now for USF. And they have an excellent time now where we talked about that two possession lead. This could be a metaphorical 7-point swing.
We got some confusion here because the play clock winded down to 0. Tumulty was begging for a clock reset. He did not get it, and it's going to cost USF 5 yards.
Yeah, definitely something you have to monitor as a quarterback. You might get out there and realize, oh, crap, we're under 20 already. We got to get this thing going. And you can plead your case all you want, but sometimes you just got to keep it moving.
Looking at the Cougar sideline, Stuart Ross is taking some warm-up throws. So is the backup quarterback, John O'Sullivan. We'll keep monitoring that. Meanwhile, Tumulty did a spinorama, bought himself some extra time, heads to the far sideline, and Tumulty is able to get back to the original line of scrimmage. My goodness. That is incredible. That really looked like something that you'd see on Sundays from number 1 in blue and orange. Tumulty with that backspin bought himself some extra yardage and ends up making it a great gain of 7.
Yeah, and I think what a lot of people might kind of miss on that play too is because of the nature of how the quarterback is protected, that's what makes that play where he can do that little sidestep so much more dangerous, because the defense is trying to hold up and let him just go out of bounds. You don't want to lay into him and get a free 15 to the other side. So it's another little trinket that Tumulty has to work with as a runner.
2nd down and 8. Tumulty will take off, being chased from behind and being brought down. Nicely done. Just a short gain on the play, a couple yards, and Nick Mabutis makes the tackle. Set up 3rd down. That was Jabari Anderson that made the play for the Cougars. Anderson, the junior out of Country Club Hills, with the stop to set up a 3rd down.
Yeah, big stop as well. Gain of no gain officially was the call. Tumulty designed run taking off, and Anderson able to chase him from behind. Nice play by the senior defensive end.
Tumulty faces 3rd and 8 here. They pick up a short rush. Pass is short of the intended target. On the outside, Jason Hartsfield, and it's going to be 4th down.
Great job by the Cougars pass rush there. Nigro getting involved on the action, able to deliver a hit to Tumulty as he got that ball away and knocked it off its course. That's why it was able to fall incomplete. But this is a really critical 4th down now as USF looks to go for it.
Early in the second half, already 4-down territory from the 36-yard line. 4th down and 8.
Kind of the point of no return. You're a little too far to kick, but you're a little too far to punt. So in this instance, it is favorable. Just go for it.
Another blitz. Tumulty in trouble, and down he goes. Brought down by Jaleel Holloway. Turnover on downs.
Good to see the All-American from a year ago. Reigning terror. He's dealt with some injuries this season as well. So good to see him back and healthy, and an excellent pass rush there on 4th down. Gives the Cougars the football back. This SXU defensive line, we mentioned it, after that opening drive, has just wreaked havoc on Tumulty and company on the offensive side.
What a massive stop after the turnover. Set St. Francis up in St. Xavier territory, and the defense says, no, sir. Now they go to the outside on the screen play, and Pringle has it up to the 45-yard line for a gain of 4.
Once again, great blocking on the outside. Brant Hickson just doing a sensational job moving guys out of the way on that outside and giving Pringle that running lane up the numbers. 4 yards is considered a quality play in football, Redrick. So if you're the Cougars, you got to be happy with a quality play on 1st down.
And you also have to be happy seeing Stuart Ross back out there. After that fumble, he went off to the sideline. He was clutching on to what looked to be that right wrist or hand. I'll have to watch that on this next drive as Venerable gets the carry here on 2nd down and picks up a gain of 1 on the play, able to scratch it out across the 45.
Yeah, again, Venerable just a tough runner too, and lays his head down and able to get that extra yard, but good pursuit and flow from the, really, I guess it's more of a front 5 the way USF plays defense. Good job by them there on 2nd down to limit the damage.
It will set up a 3rd down and 5. The Cougars are 4 of 7 on 3rd downs so far today. Venerable in the backfield, 3 receivers to the right of Ross, who looks to throw and goes deep over the middle for Pringle, who's got it over the shoulder, broke a tackle, touchdown St. Xavier. 54 yards, a beauty by Justin Pringle.
What a throw from Stuart Ross. You were just questioning, Redrick, how is that wrist on that throwing hand?
I think it's all right.
I think he answered the question. It is A-OK. What a beautiful pass downfield, and Justin Pringle continuing to show why he's the lead receiver in this SXU offense. Does a nice job shedding the defender as well inside of the 10 and barrels his way into the end zone. That's a big play for the Cougars, and that gives them a 2-possession lead.
He would not be denied that time, Justin Pringle. He's had some fantastic catches in this game, and that one just might have been the best yet. The catch, the run, the score, and a 2-score lead, that all-important 2-score lead for the Cougars. Bennis will try to add the extra point to make it around 14. 21-7, just inside of 8.5 to play in the 3rd quarter, and what a huge score that was. You know, the momentum swings in a game that is this important, they can be a lot, but those last 3 possessions you just saw, The turnover for St. Xavier puts St. Francis in their own territory. Then the Cougars get that stop on 4th down, give the ball back to their offense, who then goes down and makes a big play. What a huge momentum swing.
Absolutely, Redrick. And I'm going to use another little analogy for you. You ever had like an air mattress blown up and you unplug the plug and you hear the That's what it sounds like right now on that USF sideline. And we talked about it. A 2-possession lead is absolutely deflating because of how much this game means. And for USF, this is the time to dig deep. Now is the time to say, hey, are we truly a top 25 program, or do we just get lucky against some of these teams? You don't win 7 in a row out of luck.
Right.
They're a good football team. But now they got to dig down. 2 possessions down, still tons of time left. It's 8:27 to play in the third quarter still. Now they need to dig down. This is an ever-important drive coming up now for this USF offense. They have to create momentum, because if they give it back to the Cougars and they're able to continue their ways with a big play, it ain't over till the clock says double zeros in the 4th. But it certainly changes things a little bit as well.
It. The master of analogies, Ron Luce, ladies and gentlemen. Nobody better.
Most of them stem, Redrick, from me just trying to get you to laugh. Is 90% of it. So.
There you go. Here comes a return out across the 25 and trying to change direction, head to the far side. And you know what that flag is, as soon as it comes out. That play just lasted way too long, went from sideline to sideline. There are 2 penalty flags down. You have to imagine at least one of them will be an illegal block.
Absolutely. That's exactly usually what happens, right? There's very few penalties that occur on a kickoff other than some type of illegal block or, on the tackle, maybe like a face mask.
Personal foul, illegal blindside block. Number 5, it's a 15-yard penalty, first down.
So they get Jalen Cooper, the junior defensive back, for the illegal block. So back him up. That's definitely not what you need if you're St. Francis now trying to dig out of a 2-score hole.
Absolutely, and we've seen now the amount of penalties that have killed them, and they've been penalties that are semi-avoidable. Yeah. Blindside block's a little tougher because if you just you take the wrong angle or something, it happens. It's football. But the unsportsmanlikes that we've seen a couple of times from them, the emotions are running high. They got to keep their composure and play smart football.
There's the freshman on the carry, James Williams. He is responsible for the only touchdown of the game so far for the Saints, as he was brought down right at about the 23-yard line in the tackle by Campbell.
I think the most interesting thing so far, Redrick, with this USF offense, especially after that first drive we saw in the first half, is it feels like they're maybe going away from their identity a little bit. And I don't want to say that in a way of like, oh, they can't throw the football. I respect them wanting to push the ball downfield and take their shots with their big receivers. But when they've been running so well with Tumulty, I understand the Cougars have done a good job containing them, but at the same time, you want to give them the opportunities. Ball's on the ground.
Oh, look at that. A fumble on the play, and it looks like the Cougars might have it, and they do. Complete miscommunication on the snap. And we've got a flag down, and that's going to be against St. Francis as well for a shove after the recovery. It ended up being into the hands of Holloway. And the Cougars are going to have tremendous field positioning inside the red zone.
Dumb penalties will kill you, Redrick, and we've been hammering that home all day long. You cannot let your emotions get the best of you.
A fumble recovered by St. Xavier. Half the play offsetting personal fouls. Offsetting personal fouls both on St. Francis and St. Xavier. Those will offset. It's first down.
So that's the second time that we've had offsetting personal foul penalties. At any rate, they offset, and they all happened after the turnover, so the Cougars will have it not in the red zone, but right outside of it at the 21.
I was going to say, they are knocking on the door of that red zone right now, and what a big turnover. Just a miscommunication, like you said, on the snap, and the Cougars' defensive line able to pay off. Big recovery there by Holloway.
Venerable cuts back inside. Still on his feet. Well, broke a tackle as he got lost in the middle of that crowd and ends up getting a nice gain down to about the 16-yard line. That's a gain of 5.
Price has been a great runner in Venerable's absence. But Amari Venerable, I thought he was tackled too.
Yeah.
Let's just say that. I'm almost speechless at just how difficult he is to bring down. And we had so much fun watching him last season as that 1,000-yard runner for this team. Even just as a football fan, of the sport, a fan of small college football, seeing that guy run the ball is fun.
It's fun to watch.
Because he is a menace when it's in his hands.
A must-watch every time. There he goes. Cuts back, still on his feet, inside the 10-yard line, and he's just doing what he does best, extending plays, breaking tackles, down to the 7, first down and goal.
Beautiful run as well. Venerable showing off that vision, able to shift around, give a little side hustle, step back to the right, and cut up field. What a beautiful gain. First and goal for the Cougars. It's going to be really interesting to see how USF responds here with their backs against the wall.
Yeah, things certainly getting tight over there on the St. Francis sideline. This second half is certainly not gone their way. A fourth down stop and then a turnover on offense. They've already given up one touchdown to the Cougars in this half. And St. Xavier right on the door of another one. Here is a run to the outside, and Pringle. This time the defense is able to contain it on the outside, and nicely done as Jalen Cooper runs Pringle out of bounds.
We've talked about the importance of your wide receivers blocking on the outside, especially in events like that on a jet sweep, on a screen. Mason Gray loses his block, and that's ultimately the difference there. It was a good initial block by Gray. He had his man, allowed him to slide off, and that little bit slide off forced Pringle off his trajectory and actually backed the Cougars up. That's a loss of 3, and you don't like to see that if you're SXU in the red zone losing yards on a play like that.
Second down and goal. Back to the 10-yard line. Venerable stays in. 4 receivers in the set. Ross will throw outside, try to set up the screen. Pringle. And nowhere to go. Oh, St. Francis was all over it. They were there from the very beginning. And Logan Johnson was the first one, the sophomore linebacker, for the stop. And here comes third down.
Yeah, and good football IQ as well from the Saints defense. You're seeing it. I'm sure it was discussed at halftime when these two teams went to the locker room. But the Cougars only typically run those receiver screens out of trips to the side of the field. So anytime you see 3 receivers to one side, immediately you have to keep in the back of your mind as a USF defender, there could be a screen here. And if that happens, shed your block, get off, get the ball carried. They did a beautiful job there, and another loss of yardage for this USF defense.
Ross throws it up one-on-one, nobody home. It goes out of the end zone. It was intended for Pringle. And here comes a fourth down, and here comes Bennis. I'll try for 3.
Yeah, and what a great job by USF, truthfully. We said, how are they going to respond in the red zone? You have your back up against the wall. It's first and goal from the 7. You force the Cougars to lose 4 total yards on 3 plays. And now, sure, maybe the Cougars do hit this. Maybe they don't. I don't know what's going to happen. But not Ron Stradamus right now.
Right.
But again, settling for a field goal makes this game more manageable if you're USF.
Yeah, that's a win, no doubt about it, for the USF defense, regardless of what happens on this kick from Bennis. His 10th field goal try of the year, and it is good. 7 of 10 now is Peyton Bennis, and 24-7 now is the score of this ball game with 4:21 to go in the third.
Whew, breathe easy now. We didn't jinx it. No announcer jinxes here, folks. But, again, you're happy if you're SXU. You got points. Points on a takeaway especially are very critical in any game, but especially in this one with what's on the line. And then good response from USF's defense. Way to keep playing. That's really what it is. Way to keep playing. Way not to just, they're on the 7. They're going to punch this in. We're going to be down 3 scores. Yeah, you're down 3 scores, but 24-7 is a lot more manageable than 28-7.
No doubt about it. A sigh of relief coming from that USF sideline after that turnover. They keep the Cougars only to 3 in that situation. And this game is still very much alive. Now 24-7. But the Cougars doing a great job in this second half. They have really turned it on, especially on the defensive side of things here early. Bennis will kick it away, and here comes the all-important response here for St. Francis. They really need something on this next drive. Still plenty of time left in the game, but when you talk about momentum and really just keeping yourself in the ball game, they really could use a score here.
Yeah, and taking care of the football is going to be objective number one for this USF offense. You cannot put the ball on the ground. You cannot throw interceptions. You have to protect the football, because if you're going to have any chance, like you said, from a momentum response, you need to do it. And that's a live football that anybody can jump on.
Tumulty picks it up and then is popped and dropped at the 17-yard line. Now, that's a live ball anyway on a kickoff, but nonetheless, it went through the hands of Tumulty, who was able to pick it back up and get up to the 17.
Really want to highlight there the guy that makes the tackle, and that's number 13, Nick Schultz, because as that ball goes squirting away and Tumulty's running around, he was kind of shoved out of bounds off his block. Right. And then I think it kind of shocked Tumulty because he wasn't ready for a guy to come off the sideline. He was on the field, though, so it was a legal tackle, but he comes off the sideline and makes the play, sneaks up on Tumulty, and again, you have backed up this USF offense once again deep in their own territory.
Haven't seen many of the deep shots that we saw in the first half for St. Francis in the second. We'll see if they changes here on this drive where, again, they really could use a score. Here comes a fake, and on the first play, how about a deep shot? Up the middle of the field, and it is – oh, did he come down with that ball? Unbelievable catch. That was Liam Eldridge with simultaneous possession going to the offense, and Eldridge. Wow.
There's your deep shot, Redrick.
Right out of the gate.
Speak it into existence. Yeah, they need big plays. They absolutely need more of that.
Now you got 15 more. So add 15 on to that, and now St. Francis is really cooking with gas.
Yeah, talk about flipping the field. That's exactly what happens there. You get the extra 15 on the roughing the passer call as well. What a big catch, as you mentioned, too, for Eldridge just going up. And Barnett tried to wrestle him for that football. Credit to Tyler Barnett. That's certainly a size mismatch as well, with Eldridge standing 6'2". Barnett only about 5'10" on a good day. So nice job there, but that's a big play. That's what USF needed right out the gate, and they got it.
And now they've got it at the 33-yard line of the Cougars. It's a run. Williams, loss of 2 on the play. He was brought down in the backfield. And nicely done by Arcoyo once again. We've got an injury over there, too, on the near sideline. It is a Saint. Not sure who it is, though, based on our vantage point up here. That stops things with 3:31 to go after the loss of 2 on the run.
Might have been, not sure. It doesn't look like it was Williams, so potentially McLaurin?
Yeah, Williams is upright. He's heading toward the sideline right now for St. Francis.
Joe Curry coming all the way from the away sideline to check on his guy.
And we mentioned it earlier. You got 2 really talented, really experienced head coaches, and Mike Faminis and Joe Curry, and that's really what you're seeing play out here on the field. That's why these games, we talked about it, they're close more times than not, and the coaches definitely factoring a big part into that.
Yeah, 35 years combined between these 2 head coaches at these respective programs. Curry's this is his 11th season at the helm now for USF, and it was an offensive lineman that looks like number 66, Logan Miller, was the one that was down. Good to see him up and walking off under his own power. But we mentioned 11 years for Joe Curry at the helm for USF, this being his 11th season. This is Coach Faminis' 24th season at the helm here for SXU. So tons of head coaching experience between these 2 guys, certainly well respected as well around the NAIA.
So Miller is able to walk off. And here comes St. Francis once again. It was a loss of 2 on the run by Williams, so it's 2nd down and 12 from the Cougar 35 as St. Francis looks to get some points on the board. If they will, that will be their first points of the half if they're able to get them.
You know, we mentioned how big of a possession it is. A 10-point game looks a lot less ominous than the current standing is. So If you're USF, this is the time to take advantage of good field position.
Here comes the pressure. Tumulty got it away. All right, caught. Through 2 Cougars again. Eldridge made a great catch.
Yeah, Kevin Countryman went up for the volleyball spike on the coverage, and he just looks like missed, and like you said, threading the needle through 2 Cougars, and Eldridge again coming through. They needed somebody to step up and make a big play, and wide receiver number 9, Liam Eldridge, has done just that here on this drive.
And a beauty of a throw by Tumulty, too, as you mentioned. Just got it right over the outstretched arms of Countryman.
Hey, he can spin it. Don't be fooled by his 5'10", 185-pound stature. He's got a cannon on him, and he's shown it off multiple times today.
Wind starting to pick up a little bit here at Deaton as well. Oh, they're going to pass it back over to Tumulty, who gets crunched and somehow held on to the ball as Tyler Barnett made a back-breaking tackle on the quarterback, and it ends up being a gain of about 2.
Yeah, the Cougars snuffed that one out all the way, and as soon as McLaurin goes to throw it back, Tyler Barnett with a head of steam. He's playing angry today.
Wow.
Comes through and delivers a textbook tackle right into the ribcage of Tumulty. I'm surprised Tumulty got up with no problem there. Sometimes that just takes the wind out of you on that kind of hit. But for him just to get up, shake it off, and be like, all right, well, next play, here we go. Credit to his toughness as well as a quarterback.
Yeah, he made it look like that didn't hurt, but there's about a 99% chance that hurt quite a bit. 2nd and 8. He's going to go back to the air. Over the middle, dangerous throw, incomplete. Boy, that one was really dangerous in a whole lot of traffic. Markusovic almost came away with a pick, and here comes 3rd down.
Yeah, nearly Joey Markusovic's 3rd interception of the season there, if he's able to convert on that. Good read by the Mike linebacker for the Cougars as well. And that brings up a very big 3rd down now, because you are in the territory where they could just take the field goal, still get the points, and only be down by 14. Or do you risk the biscuit, Frederick, and maybe go for it on 4th down? But they got to play 3rd down first. Big 3rd and 8 here for USF.
Crowd coming alive, too, on this 3rd. Tumulty on the fake. Pressure off the edge. Caught. Eldridge into the end zone. Touchdown, St. Francis. Another huge play. Tumulty stood tall in the pocket, fired it away as he was hit, and Eldridge scores the touchdown, a huge one for the Saints.
Tumulty finding his guy. He and Eldridge connecting 3 times on that drive. The big first play down the field, a second one over there on the far sideline, and now that nice touchdown after the run for Eldridge. And now USF has some life. Good response from the Saints.
Yeah, you talk about all the momentum just draining away from you as a team for St. Francis. For them to come out and score a touchdown and a complete 7 at that is huge for them. That makes it a 10-point lead for the Cougars at 24-14 with a minute and a half left to play in the 3rd.
And like we said, that field goal attempt for the Cougars by USF limiting SXU to that versus 7, making a world of difference, because now you look at the scoreboard and say, we got a whole quarter to make up 10 points? That's a lot more reasonable than even 14, right? Because then if that were the case, you're down 21, you chip back now to 14, that's still 2 touchdowns you got to score. Now 2 touchdowns wins you the game.
Yep.
All of a sudden the complexion is different. That's really essentially a big 4-point swing from what it could have been, and even more so when you consider how important that was of a response for USF. Good drive for them, and now it's on the Cougars. Can you start to hammer the nail a little further into the coffin, or is USF going to come in with another hammer and jack that nail out and say, hey, we're not done yet. Don't count us out just yet, because there's still a lot of football to be played.
Whole quarter plus left in this one, at least. And a 10-point lead for St. Xavier. He's poised to get the ball back. High kick. Quinn from the 6-yard line. Cuts back up the middle, finds a lane. Now heads the other way, and he's upended across the 30, and the ball came out. They say it is a live ball. And who's got it? Quinn was upended across the 30. Coming away with it was St. Francis. The officials are still talking it over. No official ruling yet. St. Francis celebrating on their sideline.
Rolling on the field, if the runner went in the air, touched the ground cannot cause a fumble. It's first down.
No fumble.
Yep, correct call at that by the officiating crew. As soon as Quinn hit the ground, that's what forced the fumble. And I know there's a lot of arms up in the air on that far fan section over there, but it's the right call. It is what it is. Like the official said, you cannot have the ground cause a fumble. Cougars are all right, and they're in business now from their own 31.
Venerable starting to heat up. He's in the backfield on first down. And they get it to him. And there he goes on a nice cut. Broke a couple tackles. Amari Venerable, welcome back. 12-yard gain and a first down.
Amari Venerable would be Chris Berman's favorite player. You know why? Because he's rumbling and bumbling and stumbling and he'll hit you with a whoop. Chris Berman would love Amari Venerable and how hard he runs, and you're seeing all of that right now. Just impossible to take down as a lone defender. You need multiple guys to get number 23 on the ground.
And it's interesting just watching him kind of start to get his legs back under him once again. You mentioned missing a lot of time this year because of injury. A former 1,000-yard rusher getting back to his true form. There he goes again. Nice tackle as he was holding on there to the legs. Nicely done, Pat Stroka. Gain of 2 on the play, second down and 8.
And a big stop there as well, as we mentioned, after how hard of a runner Venerable is. He can get him around the ankle like that, but as we've seen, he's able to kind of finesse his way out of some of those, and it looks like both teams are just going to head to their sideline, and we're going to head to the final, potentially final quarter.
It might be the final period. We might have an extra one. Who knows between these two teams? They are no stranger to overtime. We know that to be a fact as well. End of 3 here at Deaton Memorial. 24-14. St. Xavier has a 10-point lead over St. Francis, with the winner of this game going to the postseason. We'll bring you the fourth in just a moment. $15 minutes on the clock. The winner of this game is going to the NAIA playoffs as the winner of the MSFA Midwest. Right now it's 24-14. St. Xavier has the lead over St. Francis. Alongside Ron Luce, I'm Redrick Terry. Here we go, second down and 8 for the Cougars. Ross will hand off, and there is Mario Price getting the carry. And Price gets right back to the line of scrimmage to set up a 3rd and long.
My brain just went numb, Redrick, and for any of those that have watched Cougar football over the years, you'll know why. When is the last time the Cougars have had a handoff from under center?
You know what? I was just thinking that same thing. It doesn't happen often in these parts.
No, it does not. Even handoff in the run game, everything's out of the gun. The Cougars like to spread the football out. They've done it for, better part of probably 15 years now. One of the pioneer teams really in the NAIA for spreading things out. And now this feels a little more familiar now with Stu in the gun.
And a pretty big 3rd down. Screen play. Up the middle, Pringle trying to work his way there, and he will not get there. Tumulty with a beautiful tackle in the open field. And it will set up a 4th down, and it's 4th and 2. And you have to – I almost don't even want to say it, but would you consider right at about midfield, right just past the other side of it, it's 4th down and 2. Looks like they're going to bring out the punting unit.
Probably the smart move right now. Truthfully, you got the 10-point lead. You're still up 2 possessions. pin USF and force them to do what they just did on the last drive to you. That's the first time all day that USF has driven the length of the field. Even the first touchdown score was from inside Cougar territory to begin with. Smart play here by the Cougars. Just fight to see another day. Trust your defense.
And there's Pringle. Ooh, they almost got there. Pringle gets away a nice punt. And down at the 20. I just say that's a strategy move there. You really want that 2 yards and you want that first down. You want the drive to stay alive, but probably the smart move, as you mentioned, to just kick it away.
Oh, absolutely. There is no doubt in my mind that the offensive coaching staff on the headsets was talking through it and like, do we go for it here?
Yep.
Should we? Should we take a shot? Do we give it to Amari Venerable and let him just try to pound the rock for 2 yards? Like you said and we said earlier already, probably the smart move. Now you trust your defense. That's really what that means. You trust your defensive unit to go out and get the job done. Big drive now for the Fighting Saints. They can make things really interesting here if this results in a score.
Starting off the fourth quarter with a huge possession. Tumulty keeps it, cuts back inside, and somehow bought extra yardage. The Cougars had that one all snuffed out up front, and Tumulty looked like he was going to be brought down in the backfield, then made a nice cut to buy himself an extra 2 yards.
Yeah, and overall, the Cougars have really taken Tumulty's legs out of the overall game plan today, and it's been advantageous for them because now, not that you're forcing Tumulty to do something he's not good at. He's shown he can throw the rock, but you're forcing USF to beat you now through the air versus on the ground with his legs.
He had a touchdown throw on the last drive as well. 2nd down and 8. He'll go to the air here. Rolling out, far side, directing traffic. Now he'll take off. Tucks the ball away and is brought down out across the 25. He wanted to go deep. He was telling his receivers to go. And here comes a 3rd down.
Tumulty reminds me of when you're playing with your buddies out on the park.
Yeah.
And you always get that one kid that always wants to play quarterback because he's an athlete. Like, that's Tumulty and how he plays. Because it's exactly like you said, right? He's directing traffic downfield. He's still moving around. Everybody comes up gasping for air trying to catch him. Like, he's an electric player. He's kind of a human joystick of sorts as well.
Flags down at the snap. Oh, looks like this one might go against the Cougars.
Offside with contact. Defense, number 92. 5-yard penalty results in a first down.
And that is a tough one because that was a 3rd down and 4. So by virtue of the 5-yard penalty, St. Francis gets a fresh set of downs.
Yeah, that's where just composure and discipline comes into play. And Holloway just enough of a jump, and as they mentioned, with contact, because otherwise that would have been a free play, which is sometimes almost even more dangerous.
Right.
I think if you're a defensive lineman and they get you, you might as well just touch them, because then it's only 5 yards. There is no free play afterwards.
First down at the 31. Shoulder fake for Tumulty. Now he'll run again. Now stops and throws to the sideline, incomplete. He was looking for his tight end Getch.
Good pass break up there from number 26, Jacob Denny as well. Getting a hand in on the big tight end and just punching that ball out onto the sideline. Excellent job to force that. We're starting to see USF take those shots now, Redrick, that you were questioning coming out of the break. They've really been pushing the ball downfield, but these Cougars corners have overall done a really nice job on response.
2nd down and 10. Almost looks like the same play. They're going to roll to the outside. Tumulty in trouble, and the pass is tipped and incomplete.
Ooh.
Boy, that was so dangerous that time. Peyton Nigro was bearing down on the quarterback Tumulty.
Yeah, Nigro came all the way off this near side edge here and just chased Tumulty down. Tumulty had no idea he was there. If Tumulty knew he was there, probably takes off, tucks that, and runs. Instead, still trying to push the ball downfield, and Nigro nearly creates an interception. It falls between a trio of Cougars, but that was a dangerous play from a taking care of the ball perspective if you're USF.
Yeah, that was some impressive closing speed by the linebacker Nigro. Now here comes 3rd down and 10. They rush 5. Tumulty in trouble. Gets away somehow, and he's got a first down. Sam Tumulty Beautiful run into Cougars territory at the 46.
Wow. What an escape. And like you said, I mean, they brought just the 5 and everybody dropping back into coverage, and that allowed Tumulty to freely run around. Good on the Cougars, though. I'll tell you what, quickly saw a clip when the discussion about the Chicago Bears and Justin Fields about how a waste a spy is sometimes. They haven't done that all day, but in that instance, that's where you wish you had that guy there, because Tumulty is just a freak athlete.
Yeah, him in the open field is dangerous. Here's Williams. Cuts back inside and gets down to the 41-yard line. Gain of 6 on the play. Wow, you talk about a guy that can really turn a rough situation like a 3rd down and long into a play like that, and that's exactly who you want at quarterback, and that's exactly what St. Francis has with Sam Tumulty. We're about to hit the 10-minute mark. Still plenty of time left in this game. St. Francis down 2 scores, trying to change that on this drive. Tumulty stays in the pocket, runs out of time, and down he goes. The sack back at the 46-yard line.
It looks like Arroyo and Van Williams just said, hey, buddy, I'll meet you at the quarterback. Nice job by the Cougars on the pass rush there, getting in, sandwiching Tumulty between all of them, and that way he couldn't escape. Big 3rd down coming up. But again, we've said that about the last 2, and look what USF's been able to do. Who's going to respond on this critical down?
3rd and 9. Here they come. Tumulty steps up again. Darts free again, and he's got a 1st down. This guy is unbelievable. Down to the 29.
Anybody at home ever played Madden 04?
Oh, man.
Remember Michael
Mike
Vick in
Vick
that
vibes.
game? That's what Tumulty has been today. He's a cheat code. He's a cheat code. When you're playing video games with your friends, if you play as USF, they're going to yell at you because they're like, no, you can't have the cheat code in the game. Tumulty continuing to just, he's a magician. That's what he's done all day, continuing to surprise not only us up here, but everybody in attendance and on the field for today's game.
Trying to will his team back in it. They're down 10, 8:40 to play. He'll look to throw. In trouble again. Rolls away again. Marcus Sovic with the closing speed that time, and Tumulty is brought down right near the line of scrimmage, so really no harm, no foul, but a good play by Marcus Sovic to chase him down.
Yeah, again, Tumulty just continuing to wreak havoc right now, especially on this drive specifically. That's 2 just Houdini acts of escape that we've seen him perform. Good closing speed, as you mentioned there, from Marcus Sovic to limit the damage. And actually, it was a loss of a yard, it appears. So 2nd and 11 now coming up here for the Saints.
8 minutes to play. Tumulty's got time, fires to the sidelines, got a man wide open, catch made inside the 25, and Kimon Conran gets down to the 23-yard line.
Strong pickup there on 2nd down. This brings up 3rd and manageable, and as we've seen Tumulty, they might throw the ball here, but it doesn't matter. He, with those weapons attached to his hips, he might be able to take off and run for it here. Big 3rd down yet again for both sides.
This time 3rd and short, 3. Here comes the blitz. Tumulty gets it away quickly, pass is complete, close to the 1st down, and Dezion Jordan has enough for a fresh set of downs for the Saints.
Great drive the Saints are continuing to put together here, but there is one thing that I will bring to the attention of everyone at home is the clock.
Yeah.
They have milked a lot of time off this drive because almost every single 4-down sequence has gotten to a 3rd down. And that'll be something to keep in mind if you're USF here, because you want to score, but then you're giving the Cougars the ability to run the clock off.
Tumulty on the run again inside the 10, and he's not sliding down either. 1st and goal to the 5. And you make a great point about the clock. Do you think that's almost by design for St. Francis, not wanting to St. Xavier enough time. However, they're still down by 10. We'll answer that after this play. There's a flag down. Tumulty goes back the other way and is stopped. We'll check on the flag as well. Came from the near side. Couple flags down over there.
It looks like they're pointing to the St. Francis side of the field. Here's the head official.
Offside. Defense. The player did not make it off the field. He's on the wrong side of the line of scrimmage. Penalties half minute, 6 to go. Still first down.
So that sets up, it's still first and goal, but that sets them up a little bit closer.
We talked earlier, Redrick, about how the response for USF's defense was with their backs against the wall. Can the Cougars do the same thing? Really, that's what it comes down to right here. Tumulty has been an absolute menace today, and he's going to look to continue that here with 6:21 to go.
They go with the handoff up the middle, and it comes up short of the goal line. Down to about the 2, maybe 1 yard line. The sophomore running back, James Zillinger.
First time we've called his name all day. Great play there by Jaleel Holloway as well to trip him up on his way through, because otherwise the hole was wide enough there for him to run in for 6.
Now you see them starting to speed it up a little bit. On 2nd and goal from the 2, Tumulty, touchdown. Sam Tumulty gets into the end zone, and boy, oh boy, has this game changed. 5:45 to go, and it is a one-score game at Deaton.
Remember the force of the field goal attempt. That's where everything changed. They had a silver lining victory by forcing the Cougars to settle for 3 after getting the ball on USF's 20-yard line. Now, you've willed yourself back into this thing. The heroics and incredible excitement from Tumulty as well have just continued to plague this Cougars defense all day long. And now you have a 3-point game. This feels more like the USF-SXU rivalry, where just one possession can dictate everything.
And I think you bring up another good point there. We always hear the term moral victories, and that certainly, when they forced that field goal for St. Xavier as opposed to a touchdown, could certainly be considered that. But I don't think people really understand how important that is just for the mindset of a team like St. Francis that's coming down from behind. What does that do for a team to get that type of stop?
It gives you a sense of faith and optimism. You show yourself, we can do this. We know we're a good football team. They're not this almighty juggernaut that, that's what you have to tell yourself in that instance is USF. Defensively, you stand tall, you force Bennis to just kick the chip shot 3, and then your offense answers the bell. And that was going to be the biggest key. Could they make enough adjustments against this Cougars defense to wear them down? And they have, and it's been courtesy of number 22. He's done all the work, and he really has put the Superman cape on for this USF team and at least forced.
Well, there's a squib kick, and the Cougars will be starting at the 29. Well, you hear that visiting crowd on the far side of the field. They are absolutely loving what they see, and they're getting loud for it.
Oh, absolutely. They're excited, and as they should be with 5:40 to go. The Saints are in a prime position right now, and again, yes, they're still down by 3. Yes, anything can happen. But the one word we always talk about in sports at any level is momentum. It is a real thing. It's not explainable. It's not something you can tangibly see, but you can certainly feel it. You feel it right now. It is crickets on this near sideline here, because SXU knows that USF has just willed their way back into this game.
Gray on the outside with a flag coming in, and he is corralled at the 35-yard line. We'll check on that flag.
More importantly, the flag stops the clock.
Yep. And again, with those plays that go sideline to sideline, wonder if it was some sort of illegal block, and that looks like it's the case as the Cougars are backing up.
Personal foul, illegal blindside block, offense number 2. 15 yards from the spot of the foul, remains first down.
Woof. Boy.
That is a bad penalty to take in that instance because now you have backed yourself up into a hole. First and 25 is very difficult. You need a lot of chunk plays, and you want to continue running the clock if you're SXU, and that involves running the football.
Yeah.
So now they're backed up into a corner. What's going to happen here? Still a lot of football to go here in quarter number 4.
Oh, and we got another penalty coming here on the Cougars. You would imagine, let's see, there was some movement on both sides. I think I saw it on the right side of the Cougars' offensive line.
Offense, everyone, but the center. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Well, I guess the right side and the left side, according to the official.
Might be my favorite false start call in all sports.
Everyone but the center?
Everybody except the center.
Wow. So 1st and 10 turns to 1st and 30 from the 10-yard line. As time continues to tick, 5 minutes, 10 seconds, and counting. Ross will hand off Venerable up the middle. Almost broke free, but he was stopped just before he got to that second level at the 15-yard line for a gain of 5.
Yeah, and importantly, the clock does continue to wind, certainly something the Cougars want to do. But both teams have all 3 timeouts.
Yeah.
Certainly an important and key element to remember here because the Cougars are trying to run this thing down as much as possible. They will bleed this play clock all the way down before they snap the football. They don't want to give USF enough time because as you've seen with USF, I will say the one thing about their drives, they're not quick hitting drives.
They're time-consuming.
They're time-consuming drives. So the less time you give them to operate, the more it forces them to change their scheme.
Ross throws it outside, and that's going to be a nice little chunk play to Pringle out across the 20 to the 23-yard line. And did we get a timeout here? Interesting. So St. Francis, I don't know, maybe they were hearing you as well. They opt to call timeout here, stop the clock before a 3rd down.
Yeah, again, and maybe this is them understanding they know themselves. Hey, we're not a team that's able to pick up. You know, they don't do what the Cougars do where they score in 3 plays. It's drives that consume time because they rely so heavily on running the football. And that's not a bad thing by any stretch of imagination. But we've seen today that outside of a handful of plays, they really haven't been able to push the ball downfield in large chunk plays quickly. So now you preserve a little bit of time. The Cougars are in a heck of a hole here with 3rd and 16 staring them in the face.
Yeah. And if you're the Cougars, you're not trying to get the first down here, right? Are you
you're absolutely trying to.
You're going to. You're going to try.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
You want to force them to get it? Okay.
Absolutely. The name of the game is to bleed the clock. And unfortunately here, you're going to have to try and pick it up. It might be a more conservative play call, but they're going to try and pick it up.
Over the middle, they got it. First down. Kyle Quinn to the 42. What a huge play.
You go for it. You got to. That is the shift you needed. Now listen to the little momentum shift. It's not massive. It's not an earthquake of momentum shift. But, oh, boy, you can feel it ever so slightly right now that the worry is starting to creep into the minds of those wearing white on the other sideline. And now the Cougars can operate the offense the way they want to by picking up that fresh set of downs.
And now they've got Venerable taking the snap and running out to the left and finding a lane and getting a good gain on first down across the 45.
Tick, 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 tick. That is what the Cougs want to do. It looks like we have an injury timeout on the far sideline, but number 52 gets to his feet.
St. Francis, their second of the half.
They're going to spin their second. Stop the clock at 3:34. Boy, yeah, you talk about another seismic shift. The momentum going all St. Francis's way until that huge 3rd down conversion.
Massive, massive conversion. And I'll tell you what, we got a second to actually talk about it. How about Stuart Ross on that play?
Man.
Dropping back, he felt the pressure. What every good quarterback is taught to do when you have that sixth sense of the pocket collapsing. Step up and keep your feet and your eyes downfield. It's exactly what he did. Kyle Quinn finding the opening in the coverage, just sitting there, knowing the sticks, most importantly, sitting, and there was no try to catch the ball and get yards. It's, hey, I'm here to make the grab and get us a fresh set of downs. What a massive play for the Cougars. Talk about execution when you are up against the wall.
They're going to hand off to Shavers here, and Shavers is popped by Jalen Cooper. My goodness. Big loss on the play and a timeout. The final used by St. Francis.
Jalen Cooper on the step. Timeout, St. Francis, their third and final timeout.
So the Saints are out of timeouts. Out of timeouts with 3:28 left to play. Here comes another third down and long for St. Xavier.
And unfortunately for Shavers, he might get a little bit of an earful from one of the coaches because you do not want to go lateral when you are just trying to run the clock and get yards. There is no going lateral. I don't care if you can see the play and you're trying to make a big play. No, 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 no. You bury your head down and you get as much as you can because that's exactly what you don't want to happen. Loss of yards. Now it's 3rd and 8. Now you have to throw the football. Now, if it falls incomplete, you stop the clock. It completely changes the dynamic of the game because you inevitably take the run out as an option. If it's 3rd and 5, 3rd and 4, now all of a sudden you can keep the run in the back of your mind as a way to convert and then continue to chew that clock. So rough play there for Shavers because you need to get upfield, not lose yards and force your offense into a 3rd and long.
3rd and about 9. Ross pitches it back, working his way, trying to get back toward the middle is Hickson, and he is stopped in the backfield. So the Saints get that stop that they need, and here comes a 4th down, and they're going to get the ball back here with under 3 minutes to play.
Yeah, and unfortunately for the Saints, they've burned all of their timeouts now, so now you have to work in a hurry-up offense. And we really haven't seen them do that a whole lot today. So it's going to be interesting to see what that looks like because now, even if you do have the weapon of Tumulty running around and scrambling and scurrying, if he's not getting out of bounds, that clock just continues to go. And it looks like the Cougars are going to wind this down and call a timeout here, 10 seconds left on the play clock. So they'll kick it away with about 2:35 on the clock. USF with no timeouts. This is going to be a heck of a finish.
Here we go. It's really exactly what we expected between these two teams that have historically played each other close, and then factoring in the fact that this is in effect, the MSFA Midwest Championship game. Both teams 6-0 in conference coming into today. The winner of this one will get the automatic bid, the championship and the automatic bid into the NAIA postseason.
Yeah, and then for the loser, you're begging and praying to the NAIA poll gods or those that create the coaches poll that you're high enough to maybe get one of those at-large bids as well, because there are a few at-large bids that aren't necessarily conference winners depending on where you are in the standings. So this is going to be a heck of a finish. 2:37 and no timeouts. Can he do it again?
Wow.
Can Sam Tumulty put the red cape on with the S and get the job done?
First we get the punt, and it's a line drive, and it's taking a good St. Xavier bounce. Scott Tumulty, that is, wanted to do something with it, could not, and as a result, they're going to be backed up to the 8.
And the beauty of it is because of how much that rolled and rolled and rolled, it drained about 12 seconds off the game clock as well. 2:25 as it reads here at Bruce R. Deaton Memorial Field. Now you have exactly 92 yards if you want the win, and at least 60 yards probably to have a chance at a tie. And the Cougs are asking for the noise as
and
the
they're
defense
getting it.
Looks to stand tall late here in the game, Redrick. This is going to be a crazy finish.
Here we go. 2:25 left. seasons on the line. Tumulty from the goal line finds his man. It is complete, but it's a short gain out across the 10 as the catch was made by Liam Eldridge. And here comes that hurry-up set for the St. Francis Saints. They've got to move quickly. They need at least 3. And now the official stopping things as well. We're inside of 2 minutes. Five-man rush, Tumulty to the sideline. They've got Eldridge once again, first down, and a great play to get out of bounds and stop the clock with 1:48 to go.
Yeah, everything has to be toward the sideline here if you're USF. You got to work with that short side of the field. And that's something the Cougars have to keep in mind, too, because, yes, you can get really easily carried away knowing, okay, they're going to the boundary, they're going to the boundary, they're going to the boundary. But that's when you leave the other side of the field sometimes open. So just got to play your game if you're the Cougs defense here and try and force USF to do too much.
Tumulty again toward the sideline, and again the pass is caught, and again it's Eldridge up to the 25-yard line.
The one thing worth noting is because of personnel changes and stuff USF did on that last time, it drained a lot of clock just getting set.
Inside of 1.5 to go. Tumulty, the fake, got his man open to the sideline. It is dropped. He had it for a moment, Dezion Jordan, and then the hit knocks the ball loose.
Tyler Barnett. What a play by Barnett. We talked about it early. He's playing angry today. We've seen him all over the field, and that is the type of hit you need to deliver to jar the ball loose. That would have been a monstrous play, almost at midfield for USF. Now a big third down here with 1:22 to go.
3rd and 6. This time the Cougars rush 3, and the pass is caught for the first down. Again, Liam Eldridge up to the 30.
Yep, and a temporary time stoppage as the chains get set, but then those chains are going to get set, and now the clock's going to go.
1:12 and counting. Another 3-man rush. All kinds of time for Tumulty, who can't find anybody. And will just work his way out of bounds with a nice escort from Okoye. Ayobami Arakoyo knocks him out right near the line of scrimmage. So no gain, but of course the clock stops with 1 minute to go.
Woo! This is getting crazy.
Oh, man.
It's at the point now where we're just sitting back and watching this unfold because of the anxiety levels, the excitement, and just what is on the line, as you've mentioned today, Redrick.
Now they bring a blitz. Tumulty in trouble. Gets away and skips that one to the sideline, intended for Eldridge. And here comes a 3rd and long.
Yeah, and at least if you're USF, you keep the solace in knowing the clock stops because of the incomplete pass. 53 seconds to go in 3rd and long. Not that the game is totally going to be decided here, but this is one of those moves in the game of chess that is football that's going to have a very large impact on this outcome.
Here they come again on 3rd down and long. Tumulty has to fling it deep. Incomplete. With Eldridge out there as the intended target. Ron Carroll with the great coverage, and here comes a huge 4th and 11.
This could potentially be the game now. The Cougars pass rush is getting there. Kudos to Tumulty and company being able to get the ball out fast enough where that rush can't get to him. And obviously the ability of escape that he has made a big difference. 4th and 11, here we go.
Tumulty's got time. He's got a man. It's tipped and incomplete. Ron Carroll again. Cougars take over with 38 seconds to go.
And Ron Carroll may single-handedly have claimed the MSFA Midwest for SXU. 2 major coverage plays in a row, being in the right spot on 3rd and long, and they're doing a perfect job of knocking that ball away. 24-21, and Coach Feminist's favorite play in football is something called the victory formation, and I think we're about to see that here with 38 seconds. Saints not able to stop the clock. This should be enough to just run the clock off and end the game.
Yeah, as you mentioned, no timeouts for St. Francis, where they came in and played one heck of a game. Another close game between these two teams. But it's the oh-so-familiar victory formation for the St. Xavier Cougars. And Stuart Ross wants to keep that ball. Final seconds will tick off the clock. And the Cougars have won the conference. 24-21. St. Xavier takes it over St. Francis.
What a game that we witnessed today here, Redrick. This was an unbelievable one. You had the theatrics of the late comeback. You had the escapability all day of Tumulty, the big plays downfield for the Cougars. A little bit of trickery sprinkled in for a touchdown. Talk about a complete football game with everything on the line today. Both teams played their hearts out, and what a way to cap off the regular season here at Broussard Deaton Memorial Field.
So we know we will see the Cougars in the NAIA postseason now via the MSFA Midwest automatic bid. They are the champions of the conference, 7-0, running the table and making their way into the postseason. And boy, another just fantastic game between these two teams. This is almost like exactly what you would expect with a game with this much weight, and then again between St. Francis and St. Xavier.
Absolutely. It's such a rivalry. We talked about it all day. Geographically, in terms of the conference, the personnel, who's on each sideline, it's everything you could have drawn it up to be, and the home faithful here for SXU are excited. The boys in red capture a massive victory and, as you said, will punch their ticket to the NAIA postseason.
The 12th league title for the St. Xavier Cougars. And they're able to do it in front of their home crowd on senior day. It really doesn't get any better than that. And when you talk about the home crowd, how fantastic were they from start to finish, especially in the late parts of that second half.
Yeah, absolutely. They stepped up big, and they were able to, deliver some noise and keep everybody excited. And now Fem leading the charge of all the players as they run down to the end zone here. They're going to go over by that banner with all the accolades that hangs under the scoreboard. And now looks like they're gathering for a picture in front of the scoreboard as well.
Well, you're going to have to take that banner down and slap a 2022 on it under league champions because they just won that.
I think that's an expense that the Cougars can get behind paying.
No doubt about it. Wow, what a game. 24-21 again, the final score. Ron, great to be with you again. Always a blast, but especially when the Cougars are able to pull off one like they did today.
Absolutely, Redrick. It's always a treat to be able to call games with you. Hopefully we'll be able to do more of these here on the Cougar Sports Network and other various sports, as unless a miracle happens in the polls, we'll likely see the Cougars on the road to begin the NAIA postseason here for football. But, my friend, always a pleasure. And like you said, we got an absolute classic of a game today on the mic here, and it was a blast as always.
As always. Cougars win it, and they've won the MSFA Midwest as well. 24-21, the final score over St. Francis. For Ron Luce, I'm Redrick Terry. Thanks so much for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Cougars are the MSFA Midwest champions.